We can't even see Yifan anymore. We just see her hands. Whoa! Yeah. Bishop takes e4. That's her calculation mode. That was nuts.
Who really wanted with me? I'm at the top. That's 1, not 2 or 3.
If there is no...
Oh, she blundered a piece! Oh my gosh.
Such a fork, rook d4.
This is speed chess.
Yes, anything can happen.
All I do is win and look good from the top. Let's go! I am unstoppable.
What a streak.
Knight takes g7. Oh my gosh. Karine is unstoppable right now.
This is her 7th win in a row.
I don't have a limit, I'm just getting started. I am unstoppable, ask anybody.
Oh, Queen H1 mate. Unstoppable mate on H1.
We will see knight e6. She saw it.
I just be making them plays. Get money too and I'm winning the race. Pick out the face.
Oh, she pre-moved king f7.
Queen! Queen is done.
1 second, she's got a move.
Oh no.
No way.
Go. Pick up the pace. Pick up the pace.
Hello everyone, we are back with the Women's Speed Chess Championships presented by Julius Baer. I am Jennifer Shahadi and I am here with the fabulous Grandmaster Benjamin Bach as we get this kicked off. Hey Benjamin.
Hello Jen, I'm very excited to be here with you today. We have some very exciting matchups as the Women's Speed Chess Championship is starting to get underway. Jennifer, today we have Ju Wenjun against Anna Sargsyan.
Yeah, I mean, what a way to start it off with the legendary 4-time Women's World Champion, Ju Wenjun. Always a delight to see her play. Wow, well, let's take a look at the overview of how this event is structured.
Yeah, so this is a single elimination bracket. There are 16 players. 2 players qualify through Title Tuesdays. 4 players qualify through the play-ins, and 10 players were directly invited, Jennifer.
That's right. So a great mix of players. We have some of the greatest female players on the planet here at the Women's Speed Chess Championships.
Yeah, and so we see here Ju Wenjun is one of the invited players. She's invited based on her ranking. I mean, she is a 4-time Women's World Champion, as you mentioned. She is playing against Anna Sargsyan. Anna Sargsyan doesn't have, she's not as well known as Ju Wenjun. But I think this could be an even matchup, Jen, because Anna Sargsyan, in terms of Chess.com rating, is pretty much in the same ballpark as Ju Wenjun. So what is your prediction for this match?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a great matchup. Hard to root against or to bet against the 4-time world champion, but absolutely. And you might have a little home time love for the Anna Sargsyan pick, as you both are residing in St. Louis right now. And let's take a look actually at how that matchup looks in our bracket presented by Julius Baer, the official wealth management partner of the CCT and the Women's Speed Chess Championships. And here we see that matchup in red on the right of the bracket as Ju Wenjun, one of the highest ranked female players in the world, facing off against Anna Sargsyan, who was one of her qualifiers via the Title Tuesday bracket.
Yeah, so Anna Sargsyan, like you said, she qualifies through Title Tuesdays, meaning that she plays regularly on the website. She's very familiar with the format. With there's going to be 3+1. That's the time control on Title Tuesdays. So, like we said, Ju Wenjun, she's a 4-time Women's World Champion. I think she should be the favorite, but I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. I think Anna Sargsyan definitely has skills in Blitz. So, I'm curious to see if she can fight against Ju Wenjun.
All right, and here we have a little bit of a spotlight on our reigning Women's World Champion, Ju Wenjun, who, as you mentioned, 4-time Women's World Champion and 5th woman ever to cross the 2,600 FIDE barrier. What an accomplishment.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's very impressive how she is a 4-time Women's World Champion. She became Women's World Champion in 2018 by defeating Zhongyi in a match. And she defended her title, 6 months after that in a 64-player knockout tournament. So, hey, she is familiar with the knockout tournament. That's also what we have right here. So she can definitely hold her own. After that, by the way, she also defended her World Championship title twice, in 2020 against Goryachkina and in 2023 against Lei Tengji.
I mean, and just some incredible individual results she's had too. Nobody can forget that win she had over Fallujah. But as you point out, it's not going to be an easy match for her, as Anna Sargsyan very well versed here in the Blitz format. And we are starting with 5 minutes with a 1 second increment. That is typical to those of you who are fans of the Speed Chess Champs. We've got 45 minutes of 5-1. Then we've got 30 minutes of 3+1, and increasingly quick, we are going to the bullet portion with 15 minutes of 1+1 to finish out the match. And that's often where it gets determined, Benjamin. So anything can always happen in these Speed Chess Championships.
Yeah, no, for sure. The one thing though with the bullet, I mean, it's only 15 minutes, so it could be over very quickly. It could only be like 8 games, give or take. So if you're already a few points behind in the bullet, you lose a couple games in the bullet as well, then it might just be over before you know it. So I think that Ju Wenjun is going to have her biggest advantage in the 5+1 portion, because that's closest to classical chess. That's where she should have the biggest edge. But maybe Anna Sargsyan can strike in the faster time controls.
Yeah, I love the way you say that, Benjamin. It's like, wait, 5 minutes is close to classical chess? But the truth is, when you have players of such an outstanding level, sometimes these 5-minute games really do look like classical chess.
Yeah, no, especially if you've just watched a bullet game in 5+1, it feels like classical. I mean, it's going to be a bit slower, but still, it is going to be fast paced. We're going to have a lot of fun, I assume, in the time scrambles as the players are getting ready. I assume Ju Wenjun is playing from China, and Anna Sargsyan, I guess she's playing from Webster University.
That's right, where she's studying computer science, and she is there for, I guess it's like, it's 8:30 a.m. over there for you, all right? It's a little early for chess players.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Chess players, we like to wake up a little bit earlier, but she's there bright and early to fight against Ju Wenjun. So let's see how she will fare in this matchup.
That's right, and I see hello to everybody in our Twitch chat. I am just taking a quick eye on that, as I mentioned that there are many grandmasters in this Speed Chess Championship, indeed. And of course, Ju Wenjun is a grandmaster, not only a grandmaster, but the 5th woman to hit 2,600, as was pointed out earlier. So fierce competitors here, no doubt. And what do you predict for this first match? I know that it seems like I was taking a look at some of Sargsyan's games, and it seems like she really loves her openings, like Caro-Kann and the Slav defense. So I think we're going to see a lot of the same openings. Some Speed Chess Champs, it kind of changes every game. This one, I feel like we're going to see a lot of the same. We're going to see a theme.
Yeah, I think she's going to stick to her guns. I mean, that's what you want to do in Blitz. You want to play what you're familiar with. But if things don't change, if things don't work, you have to be able to switch it up and play a different opening. But that's honestly not easy, because there's no time in between to look up a line quickly or anything like that. So I think often it is a good strategy to have like 2 or 3 openings prepared. But I think for now, the players are going to stick to their main guns. And what do you predict from Ju Wenjun? I think she's more of a 1d4 player, right?
Yeah, I think she'll start with d4 and kind of see how that goes, and then maybe switch it up based on our feeling. And what you point out, it's like, yeah, it's such a brilliant skill of chess players to be able to realize when they should switch and when they shouldn't. And look, at my first prediction was wrong. So this is going to be a great match, Benjamin, as she starts off with c4.
Yeah, c4 is a little bit uncomfortable for Slav players to meet, because they often have to play c6. But we see Anna playing knight f6, keeping her options open, knight f3 now by Ju Wenjun. And she switches away from the Slav defense and goes more for a Queen's Gambit decline setup with e6 and d5.
Yeah, great point. I mean, if you play c4, c6, you have to reckon with e4. So that could be one of the reasons why Ju Wenjun chose that move order.
Yeah, she goes, Anna Sargsyan goes for a very solid setup with bishop b7, b6, bishop b7, and knight bd7. I'd say, I mean, this should be approximately even, but all the pieces are still on the board. So I think both players can be reasonably satisfied about the game so far.
Oh yeah, very solid opening. I mean, you see both players getting great development. I mean, if anything, you could say black could be a little bit happier, because if white doesn't get an edge in the opening, that's good for black, right?
Yep, no, for sure. And what black can sometimes do in these types of positions is take on c4, and in case white recaptures with the b-pawn, then go pawn to c5. Because now with her last move, Ju Wenjun played queen e2, eyeing that pawn on a6. So that might be a nice way to deal with the pressure on the e6 pawn.
Got it. Yeah, and then and takes on c4, b takes c4 has happened. Is that right? Yeah,
Yep,
you got that
c5
on the
now.
board.
She's aiming to take and give white the hanging pawns on c4 and d4. So very double-edged position out of the opening here. Maybe d5 now for Ju Wenjun as a move. Yeah, and she goes for it.
Oh, so why do we get away with that? So is the idea that if you snatch that pawn, we snatch on h7?
I think so, yeah. I think if black takes everything, you take on h7. If you take on a6, then... Oh, and we have pawn takes d5 on the board. After bishop takes a6, I guess there's still bishop e7 back for black. Looks pretty fine. Bishop takes h7, followed by rook takes d5. As you pointed out, looks quite promising for white.
Yeah, some attacking chances there because the h7 pawn, even though in general you might say, oh, the pawn on d5 is more important, when you're talking about hunting down the king, that getting rid of that h pawn is huge. Now, of course, it's not like Anna is forced to go knight takes d5, pawn d5, bishop d5. So let's see what she does.
Right, but I'd say, okay, I guess she could also take with the bishop right now. I would say it's probably a little bit more natural to take with the knight. But what she could do after Ju Wenjun recaptures with her pawn, she can also play the move b6, b5, followed by c4, and set her pawns on the queen side in motion.
Right. If she can get away with that, that would be nice. But does white have any kind of tactics? I just feel a little concerned with your queen on the c line and my pawn beautifully placed. Can you get away with this?
I don't know. Well, we're about to find out. b5 is on the board, aiming to go c4. What Ju Wenjun can maybe do here is something like bishop to f5, pinning the knight on d7, maybe followed by e4. That looks quite promising to me. So let's see if she's going to go for that. And we have that on the board. But we have a very double-edged game here. White having the bishop pair and more pawns in the center, and black having the majority on the queen side.
Yeah, this looks very appealing for white because she's just played this creative looking move, like not a thematic move that you see all the time. Bishop f5, right? Pinning the knight on d7. And now you got to worry about all sorts of tactics here as black. Nice initiative out of the gate for Ju Wenjun, who's also grabbed a whole minute on the clock.
Yeah, no, this is a nice position for Ju Wenjun. Like I said, she's also up on the clock. And with black, you have to be careful. The pin on the d7 knight is quite unpleasant. If you ever play a move like bishop d6, you always have to watch out for bishop takes f6 because you can really recapture with the knight because it will give up the rook on c8. So you have to recapture the pawn, but that's going to open up your king. So I like Ju Wenjun's chances here a lot. She's up a minute and a half now on the clock, and her position looks great.
Knight e8 was played and just steamrolling with the pawns with e4. Knight d6 was the idea of Anna, and that makes a lot of sense, trying to put that knight on a square to stop the pawn from going forward. But, oh, there's so many active pieces here for white. I don't know if that one good knight is enough.
I don't think so. It feels like black is stopping the pawns for now. I mean, yeah, there she goes, e5. If knight takes b2, I think there's pawn to d6, hitting the queen and the bishop. And I think white's just winning there. So it's all looking great for Ju Wenjun right now.
Oh boy, what a tactic. So knight b2, you would think at first you have to play queen takes b2, but as Benjamin was pointing out, you hit him with an in-between move, d6, and then there's going to be another in-between move after d takes c7.
Yeah, maybe we can quickly point that out in case black does capture the bishop on b2. We can go pawn at d6, hitting the queen and the bishop, and if the queen moves, you again don't take the knight, but first we take here, hitting the rook, and white's just winning material in all of the variations. So it's looking great. We have a move by Anna. She played, give me a second, let me bring back the board. We have the move queen b6, I believe, and d6 is on the board by Ju Wenjun. This is looking very good for white.
Right, so she's trying to make it so that she can at least stick that bishop back on f8, I assume, and that is what she did. Bishop f8 played. Oh, but e6 is also possible in these positions. Oh, just looks so beautiful for white.
Oh, wait. Yeah, so Ju Wenjun won that first game. Great stuff. And she takes the lead in the match. Like we said, I think Ju Wenjun she is a four-time women's world champion. So her main advantage should be in the 5+1 portion. I think she should be looking she should try to take a big lead here.
All right, and I think that ended with a blunder and a resignation. Is that right, Benjamin?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, Ju Wenjun just got a crushing attack, and yeah, that's how she won that game. So here we see an Italian with a very early h3 by Anna. Do you think she's just going to castle, or what some players also like to do is they go knight d2, knight f1 before castling?
Yeah. I mean that's always the debate. Do you castle right away, it looks like she's going to do the latter. She has started with knight d2.
Oh,
She
yeah, and now
castles.
she goes castles. Right. Bishop e6 by black. Okay, so let's see. Now, Ju Wenjun can exchange the bishop herself. She can also keep the tension for now. But it looks like black is doing pretty fine out of the opening so far.
Just moving that bishop back to avoid tempo gaining moves like d4. But here's queen b3. I like this move because it kind of shows the potential weakness of the move a5. Normally, the pawn's not on a5, and black would just be able to play knight a5, right? So every move in chess has a disadvantage. So the advantage of a5 is it prevents some of my pawns from moving, but it does allow me to play queen b3.
Exactly. Yep. Like I said, a5 grabs more space, stops specifically the move b4. But yeah, it gives away some squares, right? Sometimes white can put their queen here, which is a little bit annoying. You can't easily push it away. Also, a knight on c4 will be harder to dislodge. We see Anna now going knight f1. Makes a lot of sense. The knight's headed to g3. So yeah, looks pretty even so far. Let's see what Ju Wenjun is going to go. Maybe what she's going to do. Maybe at some point she can go for a d5 push.
Yeah, that's what I always get scared of when I play these positions as white, that they play d5 and somehow black is better. I don't know how it happens. But it always feels like if it works, they're better. Now, we should point out that queen takes b7 would be eating a poisonous pawn, as then there would be the move. I mean, there's probably multiple ways to do well, but I'm looking at rook b8, rook on f to b8, followed by queen a6, bishop takes f2, winning the queen.
Yeah, no, you definitely don't want to take that pawn on b7. So... but let's see what Ju Wenjun is going to do. Right now, she's made all of her developing moves. Those were easy. Here, she has to go. Wow, I did not see that one coming. How does the computer gives it a blunder? But how do we refute this with white?
Wow, blunder according to the computer. And look at Anna as she looks closer. She is also surprised by this move. I guess we take it and we play like knight h2. No, but then there's queen b3 check maybe. So knight on 3 to h2. Yes, that is what she did. Yeah. She didn't want to put the other knight there because of queen g3 check. But she does want to stop knight g4.
Exactly, yeah. So knight 3 to h2 on the board. I think if white gets another move here and is able to go queen e1 to f3, she's winning. So knight g4, good move by Ju Wenjun, threatening bishop takes f2. So I assume, well, if you take, then black recaptures. You have to move your king, and then you drop the f2 pawn. So I like the move that she played, bishop e3, and the computer is giving that an exclamation point. I think if you take the bishop, you probably have to recapture with the pawn, but it seems like there's nothing there for black.
So this is the key move. This is probably why the computer liked it and what Ju Wenjun missed, because it is I can see why you can miss that move, right? You know, because it's e3 and it looks like there's so many pieces attacking that square.
Right. Yep. But yeah, you cannot recapture the knight as black takes with the queen on h2 and it's checkmate on the next turn. You don't really want to take with the rook because then black takes here, and I think black is doing fine. But after pawn takes, I think white is just up a piece for insufficient compensation. So Anna's just double checking the lines right now. But I think after pawn takes e3, she's just winning as Ju Wenjun is not able to include another piece in the attack.
That's exactly the problem. That knight on c6 actually is a really bad piece if you think about it. It doesn't go to a5, it doesn't go to d4, it doesn't go to e5. It's really not working. And we'd love to play something like f5, get a rook into the game, but that f pawn is pinned.
Right, and that's why she plays king to h8, but just feels a little bit too slow. But, you know, f5 is coming in very quickly. So maybe now would be a nice time for Anna to play queen to d1. Bring her queen closer to the defense. That's what she does. I guess maybe Ju Wenjun has to try f5 now. Bring the rook into the game.
That's right, and avoid it. It does two things at once, actually, because it also avoids, you know, or protects g4, and it gets the rook into the game. And that's what you're always looking to do, is try to do multiple things with as many moves as you can.
Yeah, so f5 here makes a lot of sense. Also, you can take on h2 and maybe then play f5 again. You have to act quickly here with black, because if you allow white to trade, then maybe go queen g4 after, trade of the queens. White is heading for a technically winning endgame, so f5, good move by Ju Wenjun.
Yeah, especially in blitz, you just got to keep things juicy. Now, what if we try, you know, I always tell my students and my son that when you're getting attacked, you should try to trade queens. So move like queen f3 is exactly what my instincts tell me to do. And Anna felt the exact same way. Okay, so Ju Wenjun thought she could just get a little compensation here by grabbing a pawn.
Right, but knight h4, great move by Anna, heading to the g6 square. That would fork the king and the rook. So now Ju Wenjun has to spend a move on something like knight e7, and that would give Anna the time to regain that pawn on e4 and make sure that black only gets 2 pawns for the minor piece.
2 pawns for the minor piece right now. What about some activity here with rook f2? Are we getting any kind of excitement here? Not really. I mean, you could play rook e2, right?
Yeah, rook f2 can just be met with rook e2, offering a rook trade, or maybe what you can also do is something like bishop to e6, try to dislodge this knight. So it's looking tough. She goes pawn at g5, hitting the knight. Maybe knight f5 here could be a nice move. Yeah, because look at this. If you take twice, there's bishop e6 at the end.
Ooh, and
and
another
you would win more material.
nice idea. And that's why we have the light squared bishop and she doesn't have one. So that was a pawn we ended up winning because she sacrificed it with bishop h3. So it's poetic justice that it ends up working the tactics in our favor.
Yeah, so great move by Anna, because what I see a lot of players do is when they go up in material, they're like, oh, I'm up in material, now I need to consolidate, I need to play. And they start playing too passively. But she's playing actively, and that's how you can really put that extra piece to work. Knight f6 here by Ju Wenjun, aiming to go for d5, maybe bishop e6, making sure that that bishop is not blocked out.
She chose e4, trying to clamp down on the d5 square.
Pawn h5 by Ju Wenjun. All right, so let's see. You want to play knight e3, but for the moment, that's going to hang a pawn. So it's not going to be that easy yet to improve your pieces here.
Right, maybe she plays knight d2, thinking along those lines that she can't get her knight better on e3, so maybe try a different route. But where? Is she trying to go to f3? Thinking that if g4 knight g5 would be devastating for black.
Yeah, that's a nice idea. I like what Ju Wenjun is doing here. She knows she's worse. I mean, white is up a piece for only 2 pawns, but it doesn't look easy for me to improve the position. Maybe like king h6, g4, king g5, h4. Like all of a sudden, black has the easier moves.
Great point, and that's so key in blitz. And by the way, because of that, the time differential has tightened, as they both have about 1 minute and a little over 1.5 for Anna and Ju Wenjun. Thinking now after the move rook h1.
Yep, she goes for pawn to c6. I still like that idea of bishop e6. She goes bishop e2 instead. Looks a little bit passive to me, but I think the idea is to go rook ag1 and threaten to capture this pawn on g4. And she's also vacating the c4 square for her knight. But maybe now Ju Wenjun can go d5 to create some counterplay in the center.
Yeah, the computer seemed to hate that move, bishop e2, despite it looking like a relatively solid idea. Rook g8 instead played by Ju Wenjun, so maybe it was your opportunity to d5 that was missed. Now rook g1 played.
All right, so yeah, the computer is pointing these moves out as mistakes. Maybe, again, knight c4 should have been played, hitting the pawn on c4, which is a little awkward to defend. Now she grabs her chance. She goes d5, creating a lot of play in the center. I don't know. I feel like white doesn't have a very easy plan here.
Yeah, it's pretty funny that that knight on d2 is really dominated right now. It can't go to c4 or f3, and maybe missing that opportunity to put it on the c4 square is the problem that Sargsyan is encountering here. Because how do we get that one working?
I don't know. Yeah, it's all of a sudden, like we said, it's looking like black has the easier moves.
Rook g5.
Let's see. Yeah, maybe like rook g5 or rook d8. Bring the rook into the game as well. Also looks good. Knight b. I like that move. She was heading to c5 and also b6. Nice move by Ju Wenjun, as it also protects the pawn on a5.
And very quick also. Very quickly played by Ju Wenjun, who now has 38 seconds. Very close on time right now.
All right, so knight c1 played, king g5. Yeah, now this move is available. Earlier there was always a knight f3, but since the knight has maneuvered, the king is sitting very safe here, and maybe she can continue pushing these pawns.
Yeah, you're right. It does look easier for black to play, despite the pieces, the extra piece for white.
All right, so let's see. We're heading to a time scramble right now. I'm very curious to see how both players will handle that. Because, again, I feel like Anna should be the more experienced player in blitz time scrambles, but Ju Wenjun, she should be the better player.
So knight f1 now trying to get that knight to the g3 square.
All right, king h4. I guess knight g3 to block, otherwise g3 comes.
Maybe
But
there's
the
knight
computer's all of a sudden...
knight h5
Oh, sorry.
possibilities. Okay. The computer
Right,
likes it for
or-
black.
Yeah, I don't like that move c5. I like the idea of knight d7 to c5. But yeah, all of a sudden the computer's really enthusiastic for black here.
Hard to understand why. Maybe knight h5 at some point is going to be annoying because you're going to be forced to
Maybe
dislodge that
now?
knight.
Yeah. Bishop f1 played. Oh, maybe she can sack the bishop on h3. King g5, therefore. d3 back. Okay, maybe we'll see a repetition. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely seems possible because after bishop f1, bishop h3 is a threat. And there it is. Draw.
Right. I think both players cannot be too unhappy about that one. Anna had the advantage for most of the game, but at some point it was really slipping away. So she probably is satisfied with the draw here, as the trend of the game was really in Ju's favor.
Yeah, the trend was very much in her favor, and I think a lot of players would have lost that game even with the extra piece. So it seems strange to say that, yeah, you know, she should feel happy about it, but it's true, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it could have gone wrong there. I think, like you said, maybe at some point knight h5 to try to dislodge the knight, get g3 in would have been quite promising. In the meantime, we have another English in this game right here, and a completely different approach by Anna as she goes e5 on the first move.
Yeah, that's right. Because this one, the first English game, Ju Wenjun really had a very dominant win. So trying something different, as you pointed out at the beginning of the match, when you lose, sometimes you try again and sometimes you switch it up. And the great blitz players know which one to do.
Exactly. So yeah, here, like we said, a completely different approach. Bishop e7, I think, is a very slight inaccuracy. I think you're supposed to start with the move knight a6, because now white can play the move knight e3. And if white would have played knight e3 after knight a6, you can play bishop to c5 to attack that knight right away. All right, so now to move b4 by Ju Wenjun with the idea to go bishop e2 and put pressure on the queen on e5.
Who do you prefer in this position, Benjamin? What do you like playing here?
I actually have some experience from both sides of this position. I feel like it depends. Like, if black is able to consolidate, the pawn on e4 does give them a lot of space. But honestly, I think I would slightly prefer white here. I feel like the pawn on e4 is a slight target. White has maybe a very slight lead in development. So I feel like these positions can sometimes be a bit easier for white to play.
Yeah, particularly in the blitz format, these tactics and that queen in the middle of the board. So knight to a6 rather than recapturing the pawn immediately.
Interesting choice. So I guess now bishop e2 by Ju Wenjun, eyeing the queen on e5. She's also already having quite a significant lead on the clock.
Yeah, that's been a theme we've seen so far in the match with white especially. I mean, this is only our second white game, but she did have a big edge on time in that first game as well. So bishop e2, now I know if you're looking at this position, you're like, that's scary because of discoveries. But you do have to ask yourself, is there a discovery actually that's being threatened? Because if suppose it was white's move, could we actually play knight takes e4? No, because queen takes b2 would happen. And that's why black just plays the cold-hearted move castles. And that's something you see a lot of really good players do, actually. They're just chilling when in the discovery if there's no actual tactics, right?
Yeah, no, very good point. Yeah, there's no good discovery for the knight. Although, you know, you can go knight a4 here, but I think that would just create a trade. That's, by the way, what she goes for. So let's see now where Anna is going to go with her queen. There might be some potential tactics here, because let's say you go queen to h5. White can take on c5. Then, although if you take on f6, black recapture the bishop and then hits your rook in the corner. But let's say you go to e6, maybe you take on c5, then you take on f6, and if black recaptures with the queen, well, then you do hang the pawn on e4.
Right. So all those arrows are telling us that we got to be a little bit cautious here about the e4 pawn as the knights leave the board. Their defenders of e4 are disappearing. So queen h5 looks like a good idea then, right? I mean, that was the one that you looked at that seemed the most promising because bishop f6 always gains that tempo on the rook on a1.
Yeah, no, I think you want to be able to recapture with bishop on f6. Like you say, you get that tempo on the rook on a1. But she goes queen e6. Yeah, I think now the line that we pointed out, knight takes c5 and bishop takes f6, looks quite promising for white, as I don't think you really want to recapture with the g pawn on f6.
Yeah, so just to repeat the line, knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, bishop f6. Now it's true you're giving up a really gorgeous bishop, but it's for a good reason. It's for the pawn on e4, which is such an important piece. Important piece. I mean, it's a pawn. Pawns aren't really pieces, right? So.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't really refer to pawns as pieces. Indeed. That being said, maybe it's honestly not so bad for black to recapture with the pawn. It doesn't look pretty at first, but look at this. Black does have the bishop pair, and if you regain the pawn on a5, then the pawn on a2 is also a little bit weak. Oh, she goes knight d4 instead, hitting the queen. The queen here has to be very careful. Honestly, I like this move better, because here's the thing. You cannot go to d7. That runs to knight b6. Same with queen d5. And if you go to c5, what white can also do is just take on c5 and then go knight b3, and then you very firmly hang on to that pawn on a5.
So why do you like the a5 pawn better than winning the e4 pawn? The e4 pawn's still weak, so you can win it later?
Well, because I guess we keep our bishop pair for now. Like you said, to win that pawn, we might have to give up that very beautiful bishop on b2. Queen g4 instead by Anna. I still like the idea of taking and knight b3. Yeah.
And there it is on the board. By the way, we have a poll where the chat decided who's going to win today. So let's show the results.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what the chat thinks. The chat always knows, right? The wisdom
the chat
of the crowd.
always knows. Right. Is there a result yet of the poll? Not as far as I can see right now.
I think I'm seeing this pop up. And what do you think it's going to be? I mean, surely it's going to be Ju Wenjun as the favorite, being that she's the world champion, the grandmaster, and people are often watching her games from the world championship. So, of course they're going to pick the higher rated player, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. Yeah, no, it's difficult to root against the rating favorite. So I would also predict Ju Wenjun. I don't like her last move, f3, though. I feel like it weakens her king a little bit. There should have been better ways to deal with that e4 pawn, queen g6 now by Anna. Ju Wenjun definitely still having a big lead on the clock, so let's see how she's going to deal with it. But now Anna should get easier moves. Bishop h3 can come in, and maybe something like h5 and h4.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at h5, h4. Try to weaken that pawn on h4. That's right. I mean, weaken the pawn on g3, rather, by playing the move h4. Bishop h3 just played.
Attacking the rook. So let's see what she's going to do. She can go bishop g2. She can also go rook f2 or rook e1. Rook f2 was chosen, but the computer doesn't like it at all. Maybe just knight g4 and play on the weak light squares?
That's right. Or
then
what do you do
h5
about
again?
h5, yeah. What do you do about it? h4 is so annoying. Coming up soon.
I don't know. Maybe you go king h1. She goes knight d5 instead. All right. The knight, I guess, is headed to e3. And she's also setting up ideas of bishop g5 to e3. I don't know. I feel like right now, Anna's position is definitely easier to play. And white also having the weaker king. And that's really not what you want in a blitz game.
That's right. It's way easier for black to play, despite the fact that the eval bar is showing no huge edge for white. I mean, for black, that's not always going to be the case in reality. By the way, e4 just played. So now, where does that knight want to go? I think e3, queen e2, and then where do you go from there?
I would think, probably e3, and then I guess the g4 just make white give up the bishop to make sure that white always will have weak light squares around their king. Okay, queen e1. You can also go bishop g5 if you want to keep that knight there for the moment. Okay, I think you just have to get rid of that knight, otherwise it just gets way too annoying. But maybe you can also move the rook. She takes the knight.
Only 30 seconds left for Anna.
Knight d4, but maybe bishop c5 looks unpleasant here, creating a pin. Okay, maybe like rook c1 here, hitting the bishop with a tempo. You can also go king h1, just getting out of this diagonal.
All right, what about, so with rook a5, there's, okay, she took right away, then played rook to d8. I was thinking about this. It's just trying to cash in your chips and make that trade. But queen c3, a good move, avoiding that rook just coming, invading in d3. Maybe she missed that.
Yeah, no, and Anna now down to 6 seconds. Again, I think her position is definitely... I feel like it's easier for white to blunder something. Like, it's easy for white to all of a sudden get checkmated on the light squares. But, you know, with 6 seconds, it's also very easy to blunder. So let's see how Ju Wenjun will try to put her time advantage to work. Maybe a well-timed e5 push?
When would that be, though? Because you got to worry about your back rank when you play moves like e5. But there it is. Rook takes e5. Is this the time?
I don't know. H6, I like the move by Anna, making sure that she always has some look for the king. 1 second, though.
No. Looks like she lost on time. Yes. Ju
no.
wins 2.5 out of 3, starting the match with quite a big score. And Sargsyan is going to need to come back in one of these 5-minute games to try to keep that match closer.
Yeah, very unfortunate loss for Anna. I mean, Ju Wenjun just managed her clock better. That was the deciding factor in this game. But yeah, I mean, it's so easy to blunder. It's so easy to lose on time when you only have a few seconds on your clock. But, you know, I think if she would have hung in there, she definitely still had a chance.
Oh, yeah, some really, really nice. And that's the other problem when the position is too interesting in a 5-minute game. Sometimes it can be hard because you start looking at the tactics and get excited. And no, you just have to move.
Exactly. You just have to move. And that's what the players are doing right here. Anna going for the Scotch for knights. Where white has very easy moves. Knight e2. The knight can go to d4. Sometimes bishop f4. Sometimes bishop g5. A very easy to play position. But black also has some easy moves such as rook e8.
That's right. And now where's that bishop on c1 going to go? It does play a bishop to g5 to pin the knight. Oh, and h6 offering up. Bishop takes f6. But instead bishop h4.
Wait, is there g5? Bishop g3, g4. Wow, I think bishop h4 is a blunder. g5 on the board.
Oh, no.
g4. The queen is trapped.
The queen is trapped. No way.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
and look at
no.
Anna. She realized it. She realized she made a big blunder. And now's the big question how she's going to deal with all of this. She just had a very unfortunate loss, losing on time. Now she's losing right out of the opening. This is definitely a moment where some tilt can kick in.
Right. Well, that was a tough one. I mean, you know, g4, and I think that's an instructive lesson. Like g5 and g4 is a horrible positional idea because your king is in the side of the board. So it's terrible for your position, but it wins a queen. But that's why such a great player doesn't see it, because it's so bad positionally. It's like this blindness, right?
Yeah, no, you wouldn't consider a move like g5 unless it wins material, and in this case it did. So, yeah, unfortunately for Anna, she just had to trade on f6, and they would get an even endgame. But yeah, great start for Ju Wenjun as she's up 3 points in the match. Let's see how Anna will try to come back. I like white's position here, though. It feels like white has a very slightly better position with minimal risk.
And, you know, because of the Speed Chess Championships format, it does make sense to resign pretty quickly and get to the next game so that you can try to poise your comeback. But the other problem is you're a little shell-shocked after losing so quickly. So tough call there, Benjamin, whether she should have just maybe tanked a little bit more to, you know, recenter herself. But here we are.
Yeah, all right. So we have a very typical Carlsbad-ish position where black goes for b6 and c5. This could transition into the hanging pawn structure in case white takes on c5. But generally speaking, I always feel like white's a little bit better. The pawn on d5 can be a little bit weak. Also, in case you take on c5, the pawn on c5 can be a little bit weak. So I think Ju Wenjun can be quite happy about the opening here.
And she can be very happy about our score for everybody joining us. That's right. 3.5 for the 4-time women's world champion, off to a sizzling start against Anna Sargsyan, who is a fantastic blitz player. But today, it's not really clicking. You know, that's a lot about what it is. It's all got to click. And so far, it's not happening.
Right, and I feel like Ju Wenjun might just be a little bit underrated in blitz. I mean, her blitz rating on Chess.com apparently is 2673 right now, but maybe she's not playing a lot on the website, right? I mean, normally players around her feeder rating are rated like 28, 29, sometimes even 3000 rating. So I think her rating is definitely a bit low.
And then sometimes you also see what in the speed chess championships, because of that 1 second increment, for some players that actually increases their level in blitz chess for whatever reason, because maybe they're not really fast with the pre-moves and whatnot. And that can really help certain players and then maybe harm others.
Exactly, yeah. No, that's a very good point. Okay, so bishop e6 by Anna. Okay, so we have a very interesting pawn structure here. Black having a weak square on d4, and Ju Wenjun tries to take advantage of that right now with the move knight d4. I feel like black has to do something actively here, because otherwise it feels like white can get a very nice positional bind in the center.
Yeah, that's right. It does look like a very nice position. This is the kind of position with black you'd like to have a dark squared bishop, right? Because
Exactly.
right now
Yeah, no, that's a...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, with the hanging pawns, you want to keep as many pieces on the board as possible. And that's why for Ju Wenjun, it's nice that the dark square bishops have been traded off. And that's why she's going for more trades with the move knight d4.
Queen c7 on the board. Okay, saying like, okay, if we trade, it's going to be you taking on c6.
Okay, h3, nice move, taking any knight g4 ideas out of the position, which would threat mate here on h2, which is a little awkward to stop. And, you know, you're always creating a square here for your king.
Now, notice that white is avoiding playing knight takes e6 because she doesn't want to give that potential support to the d5 pawn, coupled with opening up the f file for the rook on f8.
Yeah, I think you aren't ever really in a rush to take here on e6. Like you said, black recaptures, gets more pawns in the middle. But I think the trade on c6 definitely looks more appealing to me. Then you can maybe put your queen on d4. But for the moment, they're keeping the tension. She goes knight to c3. Let's see if maybe Anna will decline the trade with a move like knight e5.
I love it. I like it because you can see that Ju Wenjun was kind of angling for knight takes c6 and maybe knight e2 and, you know, put another beast on d4. So I'm a fan, especially in light of what you were saying earlier. You know, these hanging pawn structures benefits white to trade off as many pieces as possible. So try to hold that off when you're on the black side.
Exactly. Yep. Knight g6, rook d1. It still feels like white has the easier moves, so the pawn on d5 is looking a little weak. And because of the easier moves, Ju Wenjun again is up almost a minute on the clock.
Yeah, that's a bit annoying. But I like this, getting this knight on g6. Maybe it can hop into h4 one day. I mean, I don't know. Didn't we try bishop takes h3 in an earlier game? No, that was when Ju Wenjun was black.
Right, exactly. Yeah, she goes bishop b7. You know, bad bishops often defend weak pawns, and that is what this bishop is doing right here. But yeah, for the moment, I don't really see an active plan for black. That being said, Ju Wenjun has made all of the easy moves by bringing all of the pieces into the game. Now, it's honestly not that easy to improve the position even further.
It is. So bishop b7. I was thinking that I'd like that bishop on c8 to be aggressive, but on the other hand, it is defending that key pawn on d5. And knight f5, usually the knight on f5 is a really great square for the knight. But I have to say, in this particular instance, I don't exactly see what target it can have here.
Yeah, I don't think it does really have a target either. The king is sitting pretty safe over here. But yeah, no easy moves for Anna either. I mean, maybe a move like h6. Okay, she goes knight f4, queen f3 now. I don't think there's d4, right?
Because if queen takes f4, right? Then, or is that what you were thinking? Yeah, and then if queen, and if trade, you can't take on c3 because of rook d8. So that would be annoying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Could you play? I was looking at those tactics, but I don't think they worked, and neither did Anna, and that's why she played knight to e6. Very interesting position, says Edesser. Yeah, great position here. Now is d4 on top. Absolutely.
Yeah. D4 was a big threat, and that's why Ju Wenjun played Queen G3. I like the move just steering the game into an endgame. Because again, that pawn on d5 should be quite weak. So I don't know. I think you're not too eager with black to exchange the queens. But otherwise, this queen is sitting. It's going to be very annoying here on g3, as there's always going to be threats.
That's right, because I mean, if you play a queen to c6, for instance, there is knight h6, and you'd have to put your king on f8, which maybe isn't the end of the world, but you can't put it on h8 because the knight takes f7. So you're already dealing with all of these annoying threats for white.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think she probably should just go into the endgame, but Anna falling down to a minute on the clock against 2.5 for Ju Wenjun, she's going to have to speed it up here to give herself a chance.
Yeah, I agree with you, though, because I think that queen coming to c6 doesn't look like that promising for black in the endgame, even though white is playing against the hanging pawns and will have all that great activity. Black might be able to find a little bit of counterplay, maybe in the b file. So let's see what she does.
Yeah, she trades on g3 and goes pawn to g6. But again, look at the time change. She's now down almost 2 minutes on the clock.
So let's see, how big do you rate the advantage here for white, Benjamin, in like practical terms? Because we see the engine thinks it's just a slight edge for white.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a pleasant advantage here for white, but honestly, it's still not so easy to come up with a plan. I think, though, for black, it's very unpleasant that you have a very clear weakness here on d5, and you don't have any active plans at all. So what I would do here with white, maybe like f2, f3, king f2, bring the king up, just slowly but surely improve. And often, a lot of players here might just self-destruct with black, as they don't really have a good plan.
So b3 is the plan that Ju Wenjun comes up with. And now rook to c8. I like this move. I see the engine doesn't like it that much, but I like the idea that you're trying to get a pawn on c4. And hey, if Ju Wenjun takes, you're very happy to say pawn takes c4 and get rid of the weakness.
Yep, now the weakness is gone. f3 by Ju Wenjun. I guess maybe she wants to go e4 to restrict that bishop on b7, and there we have it on the board. Bishop c6. Oh, wait. Why is the computer so unhappy about that one? Maybe rook d4 and you can't hang on to the c4 pawn?
Yeah, interesting evaluation. Now, I will say that knight on c3 is beautifully poised, preventing the pawn on c4 from any activity. Or an advancement, rather. Dreams of advancement are very low for that pawn on c4. Definitely stuck in their job.
Exactly, yeah. So 96, good move by Anna, stopping rook to d4, which could maybe pick up the pawn on c4. But look at the clock, 18 seconds for Anna.
Yeah, this is tough. But she is making use of that b file, trying to play rook to b8. And it seems like she's doing a really good job of keeping everything protected. But that king on e3, white is almost playing with an extra piece.
Exactly, yes. So rook takes d4, hitting the pawn. Okay, rook b2, or otherwise you have to move the bishop. She goes rook b2, I guess. Maybe just, rook d2 to defend it. Maybe e5 at the right moment.
Yeah, this is just a beautiful little endgame here by Ju Wenjun. Look at all these pieces, all in such harmony.
Exactly, yeah. And another nice plan here could be something like bishop d1, offering the rook trade, followed by bishop b2, and that's what she's going for.
Yeah, great positional play here by Ju Wenjun. What about playing for g4 also? Would she just play e5?
Yeah, forcing the knight back to a passive square, rook c6, but this knight can come back quickly with knight e7 threatening knight f5. So I guess g4 has to be played now. This looks great for white.
Yeah, real positional masterclass here. The way that Ju Wenjun is placing her pieces. I mean, sure, the specifics of the move is a blitz game, but you can really learn so much just about her strategic sense. G5 is a great
move by Anna. Yeah, take a knight g6. Now Anna is creating some... Oh, she gives up the rook. Oh, actually, not really, because
it's going to be a trade,
as well.
It's going to be a trade.
Now the c-pawn can push forward.
Yeah, those knights that I was talking about that were so brilliantly placed, like trading off all those is a huge win for black, right? Because we had amazing knights all game.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, I feel like black has the better chance here. King e3, maybe c2, or Take on d4. Okay, king d4. Where do you go with the rook?
That's right. I mean, you're the one with the big pass pawn, right? But unfortunately, you can't try to play rook b7 to b1 because then bishop takes c2, right? And our king is just in time to protect against all the pins.
But what about this rook d? Wait, was that rook d1? I think there was.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there might have been.
I feel like, and it's a draw. I mean, I think both players cannot be too unhappy, but it feels like Black definitely had the slightly better chance there.
I think it was a miraculous save by Black, though, because Ju Wenjun was just dominating on the clock and on the board, but she found this great idea, g5. That's a really beautiful defensive idea. Defensive tactical idea. Counterattack, as they say. All right, and here we got another Joko piano. Well, not yet.
Now we do, yeah. But great defense by Anna Sargsyan. I thought she was going to lose. I mean, White had a much better position, more time on the clock, but she hung in there. Very important save. And we're starting this game with less than 4 minutes on the clock. So this is very likely going to be the last game in the 5+1 portion.
All right. Can Anna Sargsyan get her first victory of this Women's Speed Chess Championship? So far, she's had 2 draws and Ju Wenjun has been dominating. But, that belies a little bit the competitiveness of the match because it's been some really great games, except for the miniature where she lost her queen. We've really been seeing some nice matchups. Okay, now, speaking of great matchups, this is an example of one, such a rich type of position. Who do you generally prefer playing in these positions, the white or the black?
I'd say white. I feel like the pawn on e5 is often an easy target. If you castle, then you follow with a quick rook e1. So the pawn on e5, first of all, is a little awkward to defend. If Black defends, it would move like queen d6 later on. Then you always have to reckon with moves like knight h4 to f5. So I feel like White is the slightly easier moves here. And that's why we see Ju Wenjun spending some time. But knight f4, wow. What do you do if you just castle here with White?
She's going to sack, I think. Remember she tried to sack another game? No, not yet. Not yet. I thought she was going to sack because earlier in the event, she did play that bishop takes h3 move. But no, she's playing more solid this time.
Yeah, I like what she did. Trading off the bishops, rook e1, hitting the pawn on e5. So maybe you just defend it with a move like queen at d5, as you can also follow with the rook d8 to the pawn on d3.
That's right. You could do that. What about, because queen f6, there might be a little knight h5 action. That could be a little annoying.
Oh, but I think here you can just take. She might be banking. I thought she could have just taken, as after a potential queen f6, there's always rook f5.
And even bishop f2, king f2, queen f6, also rook f5. Okay. And you notice that Ju Wenjun did raise her eyebrows. So there was something there that maybe she saw knight takes e5 and was relieved to see bishop e3. And there the knight comes back.
Yeah, so knight f4 again on the board. Okay, so White can take the pawn on e5, but I guess the idea is that then she has knight takes d3. So let's see what Anna's going to do. The knight on d3 can potentially be a little bit stuck there. The computer's pointing out some advantage for White, but I wonder what the way is to get there. So queen b3. Why?
Oh, no,
is this
Anna.
not a good move?
And it looked like she jumped off from mercy for a second. Maybe knight takes d3, and then if rook d1, knight c5?
Yep, that's a nice idea. Okay, the b7 pawn was hanging as well, so rook b8 was played. Okay, so let's see. Oh, wait, can you take on e5, and then the pawn on a5 can be hanging?
So now maybe take on e5 is white. And there it is. Yep. And again, Ju Wenjun is raising her eyebrows. She wasn't that excited about this move, I don't think. And now she's seeing, okay, it makes sense.
Yeah, it feels like White is just winning a pawn here. If you take with the knight, by the way, there's rook d5, winning the game right away. So queen takes d3. Rook d1 playing for activity, but now Black has the opportunity to go queen a6 and defend that pawn. But then White can play like rook d7, rook e7. That looks pretty scary for Black.
Oh, yeah. Anna Sargsyan, the first game where she is ahead on time. Is this going to be her first victory? Can't she do it? Make this match a little closer.
I think it would be great for the match. I mean, right now she's down 3 points. I think it would be great for her confidence to go into the 3+1 portion only down 2 points instead of 3. Right, that is definitely still a surmountable gap. Then maybe close. Wait, the evil bar went all the way down. Oh, wait. I think there was queen c6 hitting the rook and threatening queen takes g2.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So rook d7 was a bad idea. Oh my God. But she didn't play it. She played knight to e6. That's why that's getting a question mark, because she missed that opportunity. And now knight f5, white's flooding in with her pieces.
Knight f5, great move by Anna. Yeah, I think Ju Wenjun was just in defensive mode, so to speak, with knight e6. But had she been looking for tactics, I'm sure she would have found this. Rook d8 on the board. It feels like white's better, but if black is able to trade off some of the pieces, she might be able to get rid of white's initiative.
All right, so rook to d8, huh? What do we do to keep that tension here? Can we play a queen, like, if we play queen d5, you just have takes and rook d8, right?
Yeah, then I think you just do that, and the queen has to move. You cannot go rook d5, by the way, as then black takes, and then there's knight c5, forking the queen and the rook.
And rook takes e6 is never quite enough, right? Because you just get to, all we win is g7. It's not like anything too exciting.
Right. So she goes rook dd5. Okay, feels like a step back. Maybe now black can go, let's say, b6. Although the drawback of b6 is that you block out your queen. So don't quite like that move. Maybe you just trade on d5. If white recaptures the queen, although the pawn on a5 is hanging then. Huh.
So rook d5, queen takes d5. You're thinking that if queen takes d5, rook d8, queen takes a5? But then what about rook d1 check?
Right. Then rook d1 and rook to d2 looks pretty fine for black, hitting f2 and b2. So let's see. I think that's a good line for Ju Wenjun to go for. Okay, queen b6 instead. All right. So if you take an a5, black wants to take on b2. That's the idea. What do we do here with white? Is there? I don't see a way to break through. I mean, black's still very solid.
That knight on e6 is surprisingly solid because it really defends the key square there, g7, right? And it blocks my rook from coming in through the e file. An annoying knight. If only I could teleport my queen to like g3. I really want to get it on the g file. Like if I could go like queen g3 or queen g4, but it is slow. That's the problem. Too slow. And she has gone queen f3.
She's going for a queen f3, and the computer is giving that an explanation. But I think this is the idea. If you take on b2, I think there's rook takes e6, because if you take then knight e7, the king moves, and you pick up the rook on f8, and I don't think there's any good checks for black. So nice move by Anna, setting up that trap, and also setting up ideas with queen g4 or queen g3.
Nice tactic. Love to see it. All right, what a tactic. Queen b2, rook e6, pawn e6, knight e7 check. Not the most typical tactic, I must say. That's not one you're going to get in every Puzzle Rush battle, right?
No, definitely not. And also, she's setting up ideas of rook b5, as then all of a sudden the queen would have to go back to like a6 or a7. So we see Ju Wenjun spending some time here, but it's not easy for black. It looks quite unpleasant here.
And we're also just looking at one of those brute force moves like queen g3 or queen g4 threatening rook takes e6. And it's not easy for you to play something like g6 because then h6 hangs. And look at this knight c5, and it's supposed to be totally winning. What's the win? Where's our victory?
I don't know.
Is it with queen?
Why is this a bad move?
Is it with just
all right? So let's say
queen g3?
I guess you have to go g6, but maybe that's just really bad in case white takes the pawn.
It does look pretty terrible, yeah. Or what about queen g4 is another possibility, because I'm looking at after g6, knight e7 check is also possible. Is that even better? Probably not. Knight takes h6 looks right.
Yeah, knight takes h6 looks right, and that's what she goes for. King g7. Okay, now knight f5. I think king f6. Wow. Is there no wait? Not f4 because you open up this diagonal, but it feels like there's got to be maybe like. I was thinking like knight e3, but you don't have to take the rook.
What about queen d4? Does that work?
Queen d4, But maybe black can move the knight somewhere, like knight b3. And I don't think there's a winning discovery. There's got to be something here for white.
So if queen d4, knight b3, and you're right. I don't have any double checks except rook e6, which just allows king takes e6. That doesn't work. So knight e3 played. What a move! Threatening knight d5 check. And if king takes e5, what's knight c4? Oh, what a move!
Knight c4 and winning the queen.
Beautiful, very nice move. We were looking, we didn't see it, but she saw it. I love it. Knight, look at that knight. I love how it
A great move.
defends against king e5 with one fork, and it threatens another fork. Really cool.
Yes, a king g7 by Ju Wenjun, stepping the king back. Maybe not like queen g5, hitting the knight, setting up knight f5. Looks quite scary to me. I mean, I don't know what black is doing there.
But she's only got 26 seconds left as she tries. She already found this beautiful 83 move, but now she needs to keep up with the tactics. Queen g5, as you point out, threatening c5 and also threatening knight f5 check. Looks unbelievably good. Can she do it? Win her
She
first
has to win
game.
this game. But 10 seconds, rook d5 feels like a miss, but still keeping a big advantage. Maybe like 96 now for black?
Does feel like a miss because it felt like there had to be a tactic, and how frustrating it must be for Anna to have to play a non-completely winning move there, but you know, you don't want to lose on time.
Exactly. 96, good defensive move by Ju Wenjun. Rook b5, I guess queen a6 now. You want to hang on to this pawn. Ju Wenjun also getting low on time now. She has 20 seconds on her clock.
And who can blame her? This position is terrible with her queen now totally ousted from the defensive action.
Right, but again, I don't see a move. I don't see a win yet. Knight d4 on the board by Anna, offering the trade of knights. She's definitely still keeping a big advantage, but Ju Wenjun is still alive in this game. Maybe like rook e8 or something?
Oh yeah, just a terrible outcome for her to have to lose that beautiful knight, but she's still on top. Can she win though? And this is why Ju Wenjun is the world champion. It's not easy to knock her out.
Queen e2. All right, so king h2, but now she can pick up the pawn on b2. Rook d7, but I don't see a threat. Wait. She's losing the threat here. Take on c7. No.
No, she is losing the threat indeed. Don't lose now. She could actually lose, but it is only 5 seconds for Ju Wenjun.
Take on c7. Take on c7. That pawn was hanging on so many turns.
2 seconds left for Ju Wenjun. She's behind on time
Maybe
now.
rook d5.
There it is. Take that pawn.
Okay. Rook d5. Rook d5. Okay, rook d6 also good. Or rook d5. Queen g6. Yeah.
Oh, and she's winning again, I think. Look at that weak king.
Queen, rook g5. Rook g5. Rook g5 was a
Oh,
win.
she saw it after she played it. She's going to do it this time. Oh, wow. She might not get another chance.
Get pawn. Okay. That looks way too. Check. Check somewhere. Check. They're only having like a few seconds on the clock, so anything can happen. Take on b6.
Anyone can
Check.
win this.
Okay. Check. No.
2 seconds left each. Can she do it? Oh, no, not a good move, rook f3.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
And now she's in a pin. And rook, you gotta move. Oh, she moved with 1 second.
Oh, no. She almost thought she lost there, but no, she did it.
Okay. Maybe check in queen f7.
But allowing her rook to get pinned like that is making it so that she's only playing with the queen, and that's not going to be enough to win. She might have to acquiesce to a perpetual at some point, but she got out of the pin.
Oh, rook f6, rook f6, rook f6. Would have won another pawn.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Rook e3, still not over. Check. No, but king f8, king f8. On queen h7, there's queen.
Oh, no. She lost on time.
Oh, no.
Wow. Oh. What an amazing show by Ju Wenjun. You cannot get her.
A great defense by Ju Wenjun, but Anna must be feeling devastated. She had to win this game, but instead she loses. And now it's a 4-point lead for Ju Wenjun in the match.
What incredible composure by the women's world champion, Grandmaster Ju Wenjun, who, despite great positions, bad positions, she is just impossible to knock out, is what Anna Sargsyan is learning today.
Yeah, so very tough loss for Anna Sargsyan. Let's see how she will fare in the 3+1 portion, but this one is devastating. She had to win this one, then it would have been only a 2-point lead, but now it's 4 points, which, you know, given the fact that this is not a super long match, it's quite a significant lead.
Oh, it's a huge lead and such an amazing play by Ju Wenjun. But credit to Anna, some dazzling moves, but couldn't get it done. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get faster here at the Julius Baer Speed Chess Championships.
This international master fled Iran after choosing not to compete with a hijab. On December 26, 2022, at the World Rapid event in Kazakhstan, Sara Kadem calculated a difficult move, one that could result in her arrest. Kadem decided to remove her hijab to protest the death of Mahsa Amini, an Iranian woman who died in custody after being arrested for wearing a hijab incorrectly. This was not a decision she took lightly. Iran is her home, and she hopes to be able to return one day. But Kadem has never been one to stray away from what she believes is right. At just age 8, she medaled in the U12 World Championship. Rather than receiving praise for her accomplishments, she was critiqued by a teacher for using her intelligence on chess rather than other pursuits. This didn't deter Kadem, who had a stunning upward trajectory in chess. However, her rise was about to hit a block. In 2019, Kadem decided to publicly support the number 6 player in the world, Alireza Firouzja's decision to switch federations from Iran to France.
So I think being in Europe will make things a bit easier, as you know, the traveling is a lot easier here.
Her decision to speak out against this wasn't taken too kindly, and the young player was pulled from an upcoming tournament. Soon after, Kadem made the decision to step down from the Iranian national chess team to protest a recent action of her government. This and the global coronavirus pandemic halted her promising career, and for a while, Kadem stopped playing chess altogether. But nothing would keep her down. After choosing not to wear a hijab in late 2022 at the World Rapid event, Kadem was left in exile. Despite loving and having ties to her country, she could not return for fear of arrest.
Playing in Almaty, there were many things going on in Iran.
She now lives in Spain with her family, where she's the #1 female player. In January of 2023, the president of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, commended her actions and bravery on Twitter. She continues to compete and inspire those around her with her bravery, skill, and moving story. In the future, she hopes to become a grandmaster, play online, and stream her games, something she hasn't had the freedom to do in the past. In an interview with a Spanish newspaper, Kadem said, "For me, freedom is the ability to be ourselves. It doesn't mean that everyone can do whatever they want, but having that right without harming others is an essential necessity of life."
Honey, we just got started, so I'll let you know.
Thank you, brother.
And the rebound to Richardson. Still an opportunity with a minute to play.
Hello everyone, this is Jennifer Shahadi. Welcome back to the Julius Baer Women's Speed Chess Championships, where we've been treated to a very entertaining match, but not a close one so far, as Ju Wenjun has a 4-point lead over Anna Sargsyan, who looks like she is trying to get in the zone in this 3-minute portion. I am joined by Grandmaster Benjamin Bach. And do you think Anna can make this match closer in the 3-1?
I think so, yeah. I feel like the 4-point lead is not painting the full picture of this match. Anna's definitely had her chances, but yeah, she had some very unfortunate losses. She lost one game on time. Actually, two. She lost two games on time, and especially the last one was an absolute heartbreaker where she was completely winning.
Yeah, it just Ju Wenjun doesn't go down easily. It seems like her blunder rate is not very high. Like even when she makes mistakes, she doesn't continue the mistake into a series of blunders like so many players do. So just very hard to knock out that player. But maybe it'll be easier now that it's 3-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We saw often Anna falling very far behind on the clock. Now, with less time on the clock, you cannot fall as far behind. So that might be in her favor. Also, like I said earlier, she qualified through the Title Tuesdays. This is the time control of Title Tuesdays, so she should have a lot of experience here.
Great point. But I do like White's position here. A very nice, kind of just pleasant position where we haven't traded any pieces and we have a huge space advantage. So, that's a good thing. Black will want to get some trades in the game.
Yeah, Black being very solid though, but I don't know how I feel about that move knight b6. Now there's always the potential of knight e5, but c5, great move. Like I said, creating some counterplay, hitting d4, and also eyeing the pawn on c4.
Now we've got a trade, okay? A little bit of cheers for Black to get some of that pressure off of her neck. I really do like Black's position a lot more than I did a couple moves ago. So maybe there was some even more testing idea from White, but Rook d8 on the board now. It just feels like Black's position is a lot more comfortable now because we have that D file. And also with the position opening up, I feel that the G4 move where you've really opened up your king could be more impactful.
Exactly, yeah. G4, I mean, it gains some space, but it also weakens the king a little bit, like you said. Rook c1. Okay, so let's see what Anna's going to do here. Bishop c5, activating her bishop. I guess she's aiming for the d4 square. Queen f3, therefore, by Ju Wenjun, making sure this doesn't come with a tempo. And attacking the pawn on b7. I like this move.
Nice one, yeah. b7 pawn. Just go after it. And the pawn, the square on e4 adequately defended by that knight on g3. All right, so what do we do here as Black? How do we contest this? Do we play bishop d4? So that we're hitting some pawns of our own?
I like that idea. Yeah, you allow White to take on b7, but in return you take the pawn on b2, hitting the rook and the pawn on a3. Feels like Black should be doing pretty fine there, but again, look at the clock right now. Ju Wenjun taking a lead as she's up 40 seconds.
That's right. We don't want her to get into too much time pressure. If we want to see a little bit of a comeback, she got to stay ahead on the clock or at least within reach. And there it is, bishop to d4, b4, quickly played. So Ju Wenjun, computer hates this move. Why? Is it bishop b2 or bishop e5 and knight c4?
Yeah, maybe just bishop b2 anyway, hitting the rook. And if the rook moves, you can maybe just pick up this pawn on c4, because look at this. After some trades, the bishop on f4 is also hanging in a lot of lines. So Anna definitely having her chances here once again, but she is down more than a minute on the clock. She needs to move here.
That's right. Bishop b2, the key point is that the rook can't stay in the c line, right? Because the sneaky bishop on h7 is hitting the c2 square, right? Oh, there it is.
Okay, so let's see if bishop e2 is going to be played. But yeah, I'm sure it's happened to all of us at some point in our lives where you, let's say, put a piece here and then all of a sudden your opponent takes it with the bishop and you're like, wait, where did that bishop come from?
Oh, yeah. You took the words out of my mouth. That's why I hate it when people play the London. I'm always putting a rook on b8 and like, bishop takes b8. What?
Where did that come from? Right, knight a4. Okay, but okay, bishop e2 hitting the rook. Where does the rook go? I guess you have to go to e1. Oh, there's also g5, by the way. Hitting the bishop, and if the bishop moves, you hang your knight.
Uh-oh. So you have to go back to c1, but then there's bishop e5 and rook d1 check.
Exactly, yeah. So let's see. g5 here is a very promising move for Anna. Like I said, if bishop c1, then you take, and it's on the board. Maybe you have to go knight c6, creating a counterattack on the rook on d8.
Yeah, but then I get two pieces, right? Pawn takes f4, rook knight takes d8, pawn takes g3. That's a wild endgame.
Right, but White does have these passes on the queen side. Let's see. Ju Wenjun now can use her time advantage. She's up a minute on the clock to navigate all of these complications. She goes bishop c1, bishop e5. Wait, and rook d1. That's a free piece for black.
Yeah, that seems
Anna has to win this game.
Yeah, that seems way easier than the other idea that you were mentioning, Benjamin, with the. But you know what? Maybe she thought that she has some chances here because she's getting a7, but we get c5, right?
Yeah, it's definitely not over. You can take an a7, knight f4 though, king h2. Maybe rook c2 and go after the white king, but look at these pawns. They're quite scary to deal with only 20 seconds on your clock.
Oh yeah, we almost have to go for mates here, right? Thinking that like if you play c6, we'll start bringing more pieces into the attack, like knight e4, and then yeah, she's got to go for the attack here.
Okay, okay, so g4. Okay, you cannot take that pawn because knight takes g4 is checkmate.
Wow, that's a cool checkmate. Pawn takes g4, knight g4, mate. Oh, I love it. I don't see that mate very often, Benjamin. That's a weird one.
I don't think I've seen that mate either. Yeah. But the question is, what do you do with white? You can't really go b5. You hang the pawn on c5. Bishop g2 instead was played. 8 seconds for Anna. She needs to move here.
Oh no. Well, maybe
h6 and h3. Rook c2 maybe. Looks nice. No.
Too many trades.
There was a great knight on f4. Oh no.
Well, that's the problem when you don't have a lot of time. It's very tempting to go for trades so that you can play your moves quickly and make some pre-moves. But unfortunately, this is a big downgrade in her position because she needed to try to use her rook and her pieces to give checkmates. Now it's too thin. Just the rook and the bishop is not going to cut it.
This could go either way, by the way, because these pawns are still on the board. Maybe king f4, king e5, king d6. Just march the king up and push the pawns up. I think Ju Wenjun's going to win.
I agree. Brutal. Yeah, because that king is just so easy. You mentioned it in an earlier game, Benjamin. It's just easier for white to play. You know, you just push the pawns up the board. I mean, Ju Wenjun is an amazing player, one of the best in the world. Beat Fallujah, like 4-time champion. But you don't need to be Ju Wenjun to figure out that you just push those pawns for her.
Exactly. Rook f8. Yeah, and the black pawns are not going anywhere yet. It's going to be a win. Rook b8, and that's game over. Another heartbreaking loss for Anna, but yeah, she again fell far behind on the clock, and she really struggled in the complications as Ju Wenjun opens up a 5-point lead.
Yeah, I think at least the consolation we can have is we wish the match were a little closer, but I will say the games are very instructive. I mean, that last game, a checkmate we've never seen before, endgame lessons. But let's take a look here. As we've seen this many times, this is a repeat opening. We've had it number of times. I think we've seen a queen b3 here, a rook e1 here.
Yeah, let's see what she's going to do this time around. h6. All of these are standard moves. Rook e1. Queen b3. I think we've seen. We've seen this exact position. Ju Wenjun went for the piece sacrifice, but I doubt she goes for it again. And there she goes, 97 instead.
Right, that bishop h3 sack didn't give her enough. That was one of the early games in the match. I think game 2, and Anna just took it and played knight 3h2 and got a winning position. Only drew in the end, but yeah, not something that you wanted to repeat.
Right, so d4 closing down this diagonal. I was gonna say if white doesn't watch out, then maybe at some point black can take on an h3 again. But I like this as well. Maybe d5 now, break up the white's center, and give white an isolated pawn on d4.
But she doesn't do it, and I really like that idea because it was forcing you to make a concession on your beautiful center. And now, can white avoid all of that?
She goes e5 instead, breaking up the center herself. I like a move like queen e3, queen c2 better. Knight e5 by Ju Wenjun, aiming for the b4 square, which is now available. Let's see, white has this pawn on e5, which definitely gives some attacking chances, but it also creates some weak squares.
That's right. That's why bishop d2, rook d1.
c6, nice move, solidifying the knight on d5. Not easy to build on your attack here. b4, okay, wow, interesting move. Because if you take, white takes, and actually the rook is kind of trapped over here because you cannot take with the knight.
Oh, very interesting tactic there. Yeah, so instead bishop c7 was played, but now white could take on a5, right? Maybe
right.
that
then
pawn
white
is
takes on e5. I guess that's her idea.
And then you're
c3 instead.
And still can't play knight takes c3 because of the pin. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and pawn takes b4 is still not a good move because bishop takes and the rook on f8. I mean, I guess there's knight e7, but that looks so passive, so you don't want to take on b4.
But now we're threatening pawn takes a5 as white because the e5 pawn's not in take anymore. So queen c8, now the idea is that we can take on c3 because we've moved our queen from the pin, queen a8 hitting a5, and meanwhile, is e5 tender yet? No, it's adequately defended by white.
Mm-hmm. But maybe what Anna could do is something like e6, and if black takes, then rook to d7, or set those ideas up with knight f5 first. But the drawback is if you go knight f5, black can take here with the knight, with the queen or the bishop. She goes rook e3 instead. So I wonder what she has in mind in case Ju Wenjun captures with the queen. I don't think you really want to trade, but otherwise you hang this pawn. Okay, knight f5 on the board. I guess she's heading to d6. The rook on e8 and the pawn on b7. This endgame should just be even, I would think.
Looks more fun for white, though. Easier to mess up, maybe. But, okay, bishop takes e5, played by Ju Wenjun. And because if I get to play rook b7 here, and I have the passed a pawn, it seems a bit easier to play for white.
I agree. Yeah, just take the pawn on b7. Don't trade on e5. And yeah, just try to push that a pawn forward. So she's taking her time here. I think this is a clear moment where she should just make the move. Just take on b7. Throw the... She takes on e5, but it feels like black is doing very fine here. Because now there's just rook a8. Whereas before you were always dealing with that pin on the bishop.
And now we're just going to have to try to find some way to consolidate and trade everything. I mean, there's got to be different ways. F4 and then hit the C pawn. And then it's going to be, I win your C pawn, you won my A pawn, and likely a draw. Instead, she goes this way. So she's going to take that pawn with the knight. Now you have to be a little careful because king F8, knight takes C6, rook A4, rook B8 check. Now that's a weird back rank, mate.
Okay, but now a5. This looks quite scary for black. I mean, white shouldn't have any risk here. And the a pawn is still on the board. a6, by the way, because the pawn can still kind of be captured due to rook b8 mate.
That's right.
A6.
Oh, there it is. Is this going to be the game? You know, I was thinking instead of f8, maybe go king h7. Even though the king is really badly centralized, at least there's no mate.
I think that would have been better, yeah, because now there's all these background checkmate ideas. a6, just play the move. Yeah, there we have it. Okay, and knight c5, you play rook b8, and after takes, the knight is defending the pawn.
Oh, wow, what a weird constellation. I feel like we're getting so many interesting configurations here. Look at that, rook b8. Ju Wenjun finally seems like she might not be able to recover from this.
This should be a win for Anna. This should be a pretty easy technical win. I'm a little bit surprised that Ju Wenjun so easily gave up her knight. There was still knight e6 to c7 to stop the pawn. But now, I mean, 35 seconds is plenty of time here to figure out the win. Just make sure the black cannot trade off all of the pawns.
That's right. When you only have those two pawns left, they are precious because too many trades will give away your win.
All right. That being said, it's not that easy to finish this off. I think at some point you have to like walk your king around the d4 and push the black king out. Okay, I guess now king e6 is a nice move for black. Like I said, not completely over yet. Now king d4.
King d4, getting our king in. That's what we need.
King e6. Okay, she goes there. Now I feel like it should be easy for her to block the pawns. Okay, take king e4 maybe.
Man,
king
how's this?
g5, okay.
And now, obviously, black now is going to be trying to play h5, h4, trade off that final pawn. How do we blockade and stop all the madness? Do we play? How do we stop that idea? It's not that easy.
Oh, 3 seconds, by the way. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. She's got to move.
No, don't lose. No. She was trying to figure out, this is the problem, she loves chess too much. She was trying to figure out how to win that game and then lost on time. Oh, how many of us can relate?
I mean, I was also figuring out the win, and then I realized like she had 3 seconds. So I was with her. I also just completely forgot about the clock.
Was there a win?
I
was trying to figure out a win. I couldn't find it. But this is a good end game lesson for everybody watching. Figure it out.
Right. There definitely was a win. It wasn't easy, but very often in those positions you just make moves and you kind of hope that you stumble upon it. But a loss there is devastating. I mean, yeah. Now a 7-point lead for Ju Wenjun. Bishop f5 here by Anna. All of this is pretty standard. Black often wants to go for 94, trade off a lot of pieces herself, and yeah, Black is supposed to be doing pretty fine here.
That's right. You don't need to calculate. Instructive. You don't need to calculate the win to just keep playing moves when you're better, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and she's really upset. It's hard to see because she's really been playing some really good chess moves, but hasn't been able to string together a single victory, and it seems so unfair.
It is. I mean, I think she might have been winning in the last 3 games, right? I mean, she was winning in that crazy game where Black's king went all over the board. She was winning in this last game, and maybe even in the game before that, she also had good chances. So I feel like Ju Wenjun, it's deserving very much that she's in the lead. I mean, of course, how you handle your clock and how you deal with time scrambles is very much a part of the format, but it could have been a lot closer for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got to look at it from the other side, too. As much as you feel sympathy for Anna Sargsyan, study Ju Wenjun's technique here. It's very hard to beat her. No matter how bad her position gets, she will keep fighting and fighting on the clock and on the chessboard. Now, let's take a look at the position that we have in front of us as Ju Wenjun now with this big 7 points, a 6-point lead, as Anna's unable to really fully hide her emotions. And honestly, she's got a bad position here, I think. I just think her pieces are a little bit too passive, and that d-pawn could be in trouble. Like, for instance, if we play f4, then maybe we're going to take the d-pawn next.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe take the d-pawn right now, as you can take on e7 after. Like I said, f4, also nice move, solidifying that pawn on e5. Let's see what Ju Wenjun is going to do here. She definitely has some tempting options here.
I like this comment by Sturban11, who says that Ju Wenjun won a few games by pushing pawns well. It's true. It seems like a lot of games she had even a disadvantage, but she had some connected passed pawns, and it was an easy game for her in blitz. So sometimes a literal disadvantage, but was able to use her pawns well.
All right, so very slight advantage here for Ju Wenjun. There's the pawn on e5 now also disappears, but this pawn on b2 is a little bit weak. Rook c2 can come quickly. So I feel like even though white has the bishop pair, which looks pretty nice, I feel like black should have plenty of counterplay here.
So yeah, better here for white with the 2 bishops, but will it be enough? I mean, Ju Wenjun, fantastic endgame player.
Mm-hmm. She takes the pawn on b7. Okay, now the rook's under attack. I don't think you go to b8, as then there's bishop c6 attacking the knight. So rook c7, good move, hitting the bishop. The bishop has to move, and then you take on b2. So I think black's doing pretty fine here. And also Anna is up on the clock.
Not something we've been saying a lot this match, Benjamin. So that's a good sign for her. But knight b6, sure. Let's see. Is this a problem? It seems like the knight's coming to c4, so it shouldn't be a big deal. Well, now we've got a massive trade. This is likely to be a draw somehow.
Yeah, no, opposite color bishops. If Anna wanted, by the way, she could have also traded at the rook, so rook c1 earlier. Yeah, this one is just going to be a draw. Rook d1, I assume at some point is going to be played. And I think for Anna, it would be a good idea just to draw this game as quickly as possible to give herself more time for the other games.
Yeah, especially since we've been really seeing some good play by her in this 3-1 division. So can she just get on the victory column? She still hasn't won a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's tough. Yeah, as we see here, it's a 6-point lead for Ju Wenjun. It's a little bit annoying here for Anna that this game can drag out for a while. Like Ju Wenjun can milk some time off the clock here and give Anna less games to come back.
That's right, and we see that is what Ju Wenjun will look to do. G4. Not much play here, and this is where you see the bishops of opposite color problem, right? You can't really attack anything because those white squares are owned by white, and it limits your ability to kind of push her pieces forward. So rook a1 check, and bishop e3 is a threat now. So, but after king f3, there's just no way to create more threats, except bishop e1.
e4, nice move indeed. Because white can try to do the same thing, like rook b7 and bishop e8, but black is just a little bit faster with bishop e1 here. But we just go bishop e2. Black can take here, but we take on b6, and it's just a draw.
That's right. Yeah.
We might see a repetition here, maybe like bishop b5, bishop e1. Again, I think Anna should just make the draw quickly. And I think, we'll see a repetition shortly here. What Hikaru... Oh, I was going to say what Hikaru often does, he waits until the last second and then repeats.
Right. Ju Wenjun did it pretty quickly. I don't think she feels a lot of fear at this point for the future of the match. That's the thing. Maybe if it was like only a 2-point lead, she'd considered those types of tactics.
All right, so Ju Wenjun switches it up to the French defense. Interesting, because it felt like the Italian was going pretty all right for her. All right, so when you see an early trade on e4, bishop c5 now, I guess bishop g2. All right, it looks pretty fine for black. It kind of looks like a reversed Pierce defense.
Yeah, it looks like it's pretty fine for black, because I don't feel like that bishop on g2 is the strongest of all fianchettos, right?
No. I think black is a very comfortable game here. h6, maybe like queen e7, rook d8, b6, bishop a6 is also often a very annoying plan to deal with. So I really like Ju Wenjun's position here with black.
And now after knight c4, we could play queen d1 and bishop takes f2. I guess we are losing the pawn on e5, but isn't e4 in take two? This just looks like it ended up being an edge. The computer doesn't like knight e4. Maybe snatching f2 is even better. But okay, still good for black.
Yeah, knight takes f2, hitting the rook. Okay, where does this rook go? It feels like the knight can potentially get trapped here. That's the one thing Ju Wenjun has to watch out for. Rook f1. So maybe a rook e8, hitting the knight, and if the knight moves, you always have the opportunity to go knight e4 later and bring the knight back.
So rook e8 got an X-clam. There it is.
You got to be careful here with white. A move like bishop f4 might run into g5. Hitting bishop, if the bishop moves, you hang the knight. So what do you... I don't know. I think white's just down a pawn, and maybe with a bad position as well.
Yeah, because if you play like knight f3, something passive, rook e2 looks super annoying, right? Rook e2, and then we're threatening knight h3, probably bishop h3. It just looks awful.
Yeah, so you would be down a pawn and the position. So I don't know what you do here with white. It just looks terrible, and it's also what the evil bar is indicating.
Knight e3.
Rook e2 looks great for black.
Oh yeah. Pawn and compensation, as they like to say.
Right. Yes.
You got everything here.
Bishop 4, bishop e6, maybe threatening bishop d5. This just looks winning. Not even better, just winning. Up a pawn, a great position. Bishop c6 is a big threat, so I guess you have to move the king.
Similar idea with bishop d7. Or what about rook e1? I mean, you have to bolster it with rook e8, and then the same threats exist. That's the problem. You can't control that e-file.
Exactly. King h1 on the board, stepping the king out of the second rank. All right, so let's see. If you take on b2, you do hang the pawn on c7. So that is something to reckon with. Maybe c6 to defend c7 and b7 at the same time.
Ju Wenjun considering her options here.
Let's see what she's going to do. But yeah, this is looking great for her. I mean, she's up almost a minute on the clock. Up a pawn, a great position, rook e8 on the board. All right, let's see what Anna's going to do here. But this is a very tough game.
Yeah, she's just looking to start capturing those pawns. Whew. Well, it shows the importance of the open file, right? The only open file on the board owned by Ju Wenjun gives her a dominating positional advantage, which coupled with a pawn is just totally winning. Even if she wasn't up a pawn here, she'd have a crushing position.
Exactly. So d4, Anna fighting here, trying to create some counterplay. She's getting her rook to the 7th rank. Bishop b6, but look at this. Now the a pawn and the b pawn are hanging, and I don't see how you defend them. But Jennifer, what do you think it is with Anna? I mean, she's played some good games, but she hasn't been able to put a game away. Do you think it's the nerves? Maybe it's just Ju Wenjun being the more experienced player. Why do you feel like
Yeah,
Anna is struggling so much in this match?
I think it's a little deceptive because I think a lot of it is just that Ju Wenjun is so good at blitz. You know, she's giving off those Hikaru vibes where it doesn't matter if you're winning. She's just going to keep playing and, good luck winning in 3 minutes in a winning position. It's like, that's not easy, or I mean, however many minutes she has left on the clock. That's my gut sense that it's like against weaker players, Anna's used to just like winning these positions that she gets. And Ju Wenjun is just making it much more difficult than normal.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Yeah, I think, definitely credit to Ju Wenjun. She's playing some amazing defense, even in bad positions. Now she's going up 2 pawns, but in this position, Anna is hanging on. As the game is not over, right? Black's up 2 pawns, but White's still fighting.
Yeah, that's the problem. I was hoping that Black could play Rook takes G2 at some point and just win in some beautiful way that she doesn't have to do technically. But this turned out to be enough because actually, just to ensure she gets that last minute of 3-1, Anna resigned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's 1 game left in the 3+1 portion. We see Anna playing E5. And Ju Wenjun, I think this is the first time in the match she plays E4.
That's right. Yeah. So just kind of trying to have some fun, perhaps, try some new openings, knowing that she has an absolutely crushing lead here. We get an open Spanish.
Exactly, yeah. So I think with Ju Wenjun, she is more of a D4 player or C4, whatever it is. But I guess given the fact that she has a couple of world championships under her belt, she probably is able to switch it up and play E4 as well. Wait, by the way, is there bishop 6 D5 and knight C3 here? She goes for C4 instead.
Yeah, I think, it just comes down to maybe having a little bit of fun, trying something new. We got a lot of comments coming in. Astra says, Ju Wenjun woke up and chose violence in this match.
Yeah, she's playing some great chess. So take on D5. Okay, now in case of knight C3, you can trade on F3 as it would hit the queen. Knight B4 instead. I'm not a big fan of that one, as now you stay in the pin.
And the string Rafe says she's stopped. She's already totally winning. But yeah, I think that more than choosing aggression, like I said, she just doesn't seem to lose very easily. She's really, she's won in almost every way in this match, right? A lot of games, and unfortunately just straight up lost on time. I don't think there've been a lot of straight up checkmates, but there's been just a variety of winning techniques by Ju Wenjun. Okay,
Yeah,
now Queen E4.
exactly.
Queen E4, what happens if like knight C3? What's going on there? It's
think
White's
it was
move. Sorry. Go ahead.
Right. I think actually on the last move before C6 was played, knight C3 was a good move indeed. The tactics worked out for Black. But C6 was played, knight D4, hitting the pawn, which is a little awkward to defend because in case of Queen D7, I think there's knight takes C6 winning a pawn, knight B4. But again, you're really asking for trouble on this D file. Queen G4, yeah, lots of tactics here. Knight F5, bishop H6. I don't see how you defend here with Black. It looks terrible.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Queen G4, knight F5. Well, that configuration is one that Anna actually had in one of her most promising games in the match. Unfortunately, she didn't win that one, but let's see how she does when she's on the other side. Somebody in the chat says that Anna is mentally checked out. I don't really agree with that. I feel like she's still really fighting, but of course it's a bit demoralizing, and confidence is very important in Blitz. So I think that she was able to withstand it for a while, but you do even see in her facial expressions, it seems like it's a lot.
Yeah, it's been a very tough match for her. There's only this is by the last game in the 3+1 portion. Then she will still have the bullet, but she is going to have to pretty much win all the games there.
Yeah, that's right. And will that be enough? But maybe this game, if she can save, that would be the start. Bishop H6 played. Computer hates that move. I guess there was a completely winning move. I don't know what it was. Maybe knight E6 or something.
Right, knight C6. Maybe there was the move on the last turn, but this looks winning. Okay, yeah, giving up the queen. But I think this is too much. I was going to say, by the way, if Anna would have resigned a couple seconds ago, she would still get another game. But now this is officially the last game in the 3+1 portion. It's not that easy yet to put black away right away, but over time, white should just win here with the queen against the rook and the knight. It's just not enough.
But I still agree with her decision not to resign because, you do have to weigh the chances. It should be close to, 90% that you're going to 95 plus percent that you're going to lose to do that, right? So, yeah, she decides to fight on, and it's surprisingly difficult to get past a piece and a rook here, depending on how much time you have.
Yeah, it's not so easy to finish it off. Queen c6, nice move though, hitting the pawn on a6, which is very difficult to defend. Actually, there's rook a8, but that's so passive. And okay, a5 is going to hang the b5 pawn. So let's see. Okay, she goes bishop b4, hitting the rook. Let's see where that is going to go. Maybe just to a1 to increase the pressure on the a pawn.
And then maybe she wants to go bishop d2, but she can't because bishop takes d2, rook d2, queen takes e8. I do want to get rid of that bishop because it's really cramping my style, whatever style I have left in this edition.
Okay, so let's see what she's going to do. Maybe a5 here. You give the b5 pawn, but you're not losing the entire queen side, as the a5 pawn will always be quite nicely defended. White should be winning here for sure, but it definitely takes quite a bit of work to actually put away Anna here.
Yeah, it can be annoying sometimes from a technical point of view when you play a brilliant game and then you somehow have to win a position like this, because sometimes it's a lot harder than you expect. So watch and learn as we see how Ju Wenjun approaches it. Now, of course, in a blitz game, it's not the same thing, but in a classical game, you can really botch things if you don't get yourself in the right frame of mind.
Exactly. Yep. So Anna's still fighting here. Rook b8, rook c8, hitting the queen. The queen eventually drops back to e4. All right, so let's see. The thing is, black doesn't really have any active ideas. So I guess sooner or later, white should have a way to improve the position here. I would really love to trade off this bishop, but I don't see a good way to do so. Okay, I guess she's aiming for rook d7 and queen d5. That's a nice idea, g4.
Yeah, do we have time to play bishop c5? No, I don't think so. Oh yeah, this is really crucial here because now you can't easily defend that f7 pawn. Just have to block it with bishop e7. Not ideal. Queen b7 here looks really strong.
I don't see how you defend the bishop. Bishop f8. By the way, queen b3 is game over right away, and Anna resigns. So Ju Wenjun takes a 8-point lead in this match.
What a performance she has put on so far. Sizzling chess here by our women's world champion, Ju Wenjun. She's got the moves on the board, on the clock, and she is showing it on the scoreboard.
Yeah, what a dominant performance. I wasn't expecting this at all. I was expecting it to be a lot closer. Again, I feel like it doesn't paint the full picture. Anna has played some good chess, but so many unfortunate losses.
And while it's been amazing to watch this, we have something very exciting coming ahead. Tickets for this year's Speed Chess Championship Finals in Paris are officially on sale. For the first time ever, you are invited to join the Speed Chess Championships for finalists Magnus, Hikaru, Alireza, and Hans as they compete in person for the crown. Tickets are selling fast, including the exclusive Watch Party Silver Weekend Pass, which gets you into the venue for all 3 days of action, plus streamer booths, merch access, and live commentary with our expert team. Head to go.chess.com SCC tickets or use !TICKS in the chat to book your seat at the historic finals. And with that, we're going to leave the players for a few minutes and grab some snacks ourselves. The Julius Baer Women's Speed Chess Champs continues right after the break.
Is Tan Zhongyi the most dangerous women's World Chess Championship challenger of all time? This year, the Grandmaster from China will be fighting against the current champion Ju Wenjun for the ultimate title. This year, she could take it all. Here's why. Zhongyi has experience on the throne. As a former women's World Chess Champion in 2017, she's familiar with the high-pressure atmosphere of the championship. Her performance in the candidates was phenomenal. Not only did she win the right to challenge Ju Wenjun, but she beat out her competitors by a full 1.5 points. Zhongyi is in top form, and that's obvious by the quality of her games. Against her strong Grandmaster opponents, she immediately distinguished herself from the rest of the field due to her high accuracy. Her match against Lei Tingjie ended in victory with 97.2% accuracy. And against Vaishali Ramishbabu, Zhongyi claimed a victory with an impressive 96.9% accuracy. With an almost flawless performance, the current women's World Chess Champion has her work cut out for her if she wants to defend her title against Tan Zhongyi.
This is Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky. We are watching Valentina Gunina taking on Ju Wenjun, the women's world champion, at the 2023 World Blitz Championship in Uzbekistan. And the players starting off with a pretty conventional opening, a Queen's Gambit decline, and now a semi-Tarrasch as Ju Wenjun brings her c-pawn up to the center, and a big exchange in the center. This is a very, very popular opening. Black takes on d4 and then takes on d5, and now gets an isolated queen pawn on d5. Okay, now the rook comes into d1, and now it's Gunina's turn to launch an offensive and chase the black pieces out of the center. Knight to e7. Ju Wenjun has to oblige. And are there tactics? No. Back to home base goes the white queen. Bishop to d5, pinning the knight, forcing the weakening move. F3, Ju Wenjun is playing an amazing game with only a couple of seconds on her clock. She's doing a terrific job of sort of keeping the status quo and continuing to induce weaknesses in white's position. But she is still down a queen, and white is still pressuring the king side. Bishop to a7. Gunina has plenty of time on her clock. Queen to d3 was another devilish move. It threatened 2 checkmates on h7, and actually there was a mate on d8 that was threatened, and so Ju Wenjun has to make some luft, but g6 is a very weakening move in 4 seconds as that knight, it couldn't decide where to go. Knight to c6, knight to e4. Gunina brings her knight into the game. 2 seconds for Ju Wenjun. Rook to d8, chasing the white queen away. Oh, but that's a pin. That rook on d1 is undefended. Oh, Gunina blundered that move. Gunina blundered rook to d8, and now the white queen has nowhere to go. She might have to sacrifice the queen back. Oh, but that endgame is going to be really bad news for white, because while the e3 pawn is weak, the a2 pawn is weak, and that black rook on c4 can infiltrate down to c1 or to the side down to a4. Gunina blundered rook to e8, and with only 3 seconds, the women's world champion was able to spot that the rook on d1 is undefended, and I don't see a different move for white. She might have to play queen takes rook, or maybe queen takes knight is a better version of that sacrifice. No, she's going to move back to f4. Gunina is going to keep her queen at all costs. Oh, with 2 seconds left, Ju Wenjun just didn't have the time to capture white's rook on d1, and instead she went g5. She allowed a check. She allowed a trade. Oh, white's going to win. Queen d6 check. What a move. King g7. Another check on h5. That's forced mate. That's forced mate. Knight h5 is mate in 2. Knight h5 is mate in 2 moves, and she finds it. And Ju Wenjun stops the clock and graciously extends her hand. She almost came all the way back, down a queen, but just didn't quite have enough time to deliver the final blow. All credit to Valentina Gunina for keeping pressure on the board and on the clock. What a game.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Julius Baer Women's Chess Championship. We are back, or should I say back, with the final segment as we're getting into 1-1.
We are back indeed. But yeah, Ju Wenjun has an 8-point lead going into the 1+1 portion, so Anna's only chance to win all of the games very quickly. But yeah, it's hard to see that happening with the amazing chess that Ju Wenjun has been playing so far. But I think at least for Anna's confidence, it would be nice to at least get a couple of wins in this final portion.
Oh yeah, and it's going to be a blast for us to watch, right? I mean, nothing like watching some highly skilled players playing 1 minute chess to make you feel alive. It's 11 a.m. here for me in Philadelphia, and I know we've got viewers from all over the world, but whether you're just waking up or need a boost, here we go. Bullet chess time.
Right, and we start off with a Nimbus Indian, kind of, with e3. All right, so now Black often takes on d4, and okay, knight c6 also move. But yeah, it's going to be fast, it's going to be furious. But Anna, for the first time, playing 1d4. Knight a5, knight a5.
Oh my god, knight a5 wins a whole piece. Oh no, and look at that face. Oh, face of disgust. But it's bullets.
It's rough. Yeah, that's just a full, it's bullet. Yeah, I mean, it's just a full piece for Ju Wenjun, so I guess this is just going to be another win for her.
Well, not so fast. She's going to get that pawn rolling. Could that be a little bit of compensation? Probably not enough for a bullet game, especially because this is a bullet with a 1 second increment.
Yeah, it's just not enough. I mean, it's something, it's a pawn. It's not a full piece, but Ju Wenjun is such a strong player. I would be shocked if she doesn't win this game. All right.
But yeah, it's worth keep playing here for Anna Sargsyan. She's not resigning. But yeah, that was a real tough one, Benjamin. It was just knight a5 usually just is a positionally strong move. It doesn't usually win a piece.
It was just really unfortunate that, yeah, it did just win a full piece right there, and there was just nothing I could do. So yeah, Anna's fighting right here, but it's just too much. It's just a full piece against Ju Wenjun. Or auto b5, or maybe there's knight takes c5 and nice intermezzo.
Oh no, she didn't do the intermezzo, and now we're looking at e5 also. Could we get a second pawn? That would make it more interesting. Queen e7.
Good move to defend the pawn on e5 and hit c5.
Bishop a3, threatening maybe something like b6 followed by c6.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So queen d7, good move, stepping out of the diagonal and attacking the pawn on b5. I mean, Anna can fight as hard as she wants, but a full piece is a lot, right?
But credit to her for not making the position worse and shaving 20 seconds off the clock. That's exactly what you need to do, right? If you can make it a 2-second game where she's only up a piece, hey, maybe you can win on time.
Exactly, yeah. But h6, Ju Wenjun keeping everything together. And now it's again Anna who's falling behind on the time. Knight e1 played.
Bishop e6, lining up for potentially to play her bishop h3 move that she played earlier in the match. Unforgettable move.
b6. Okay, c6 play. She's giving Anna a protected passer. Queen d5, okay, king h7 just. And then queen e1. Queen e1 maybe, and take on e2. Okay, queen e8, a bit more passive. Okay, now queen e1. No.
Now bishop e5, giving up another piece, but that pawn is going to be running if you take it. Okay,
right, so Ju Wenjun doesn't take a knight d6 instead, but c7 now. The pawn is very close to promotion. Oh, 62.
Yeah, but now we're down 2 pieces. And that's going to be too much, especially, yeah, because you get that pawn.
Oh, there goes the queen.
Ah!
All right.
Oh my gosh. I didn't see it at first either.
That bishop, yeah.
Was it unusual?
Sneaky, especially in bullet.
Yeah, I thought it was the knights that were supposed to be sneaky, but they're all sneaking compared to the rook, right? I taught my son how to play chess.
It's so easy to hang stuff.
Exactly. The rook is the most straightforward piece. I taught my son how to play chess at like 3 years old, and he loved the rook because it's just like a little harder to blunder. The rooks are so straightforward, sideways and across. So sideways and up and down. So knight b6, bishop e2 here. Yeah, normal position. Let's see how it goes. Can Anna win her first game of the match? Come on,
yeah,
you
very
can do
solid
it.
opening so far. Yeah, Anna, she just needs to have the confidence that she can do it. She's been playing great chess. She just has not been able to put some of these games away. Very solid opening so far. I feel like white should be a bit better with the center and the bishop pair, but like it's very hard to do anything with white here.
Yeah, we need to get that knight well poised, and it's not really that great on d5 because you can just back up with the bishop and then dislodge me with e4. That's why she's not really sticking the knight on d5 because it doesn't have a lot of long-term potential there. She did put it there, but as predicted, bishop to e1, and now you have to reckon with e4, which is kind of annoying.
A4 also a good move by Ju Wenjun, aiming to go b5 to create some weaknesses for black on the queen side and open up that bishop on f3. Maybe b5 right here. Yeah, she goes for it.
The so-called minority attack. So you have 2 pawns on the queen side and we only have 1, but what our idea is that we can try to win the final pawn and then we're going to be up with a king side majority. So when you hear somebody say the minority attack, that's what they mean.
Exactly. Yeah, that pawn on c6 is now isolated and therefore it's weak. It's on a half-open file, can easily be attacked. Rook d6 defensive. It looks a little clumsy for now.
Indeed. It seems like somehow white should have some kind of tactical idea, but none that obvious. So queen c5 played. It is looking perilous because the bishop on f8 is eyeing the queen, but to no avail apparently.
All right, rook e7. Anna still hanging on here. Queen a8. Rook d7. Yeah, not easy for white to make progress because that bishop on e1 is nicely restricted by the black pieces. Oh, wait, but bishop e4? Uh-oh. That's another win.
Oh, and yes, that's right. Bishop b4 was just a crusher. And now at this point, Anna, you see her emotions really coming into play as when she does lose a game, she makes that visible, like kind of cringe, right? Hopefully.
Yeah, she's not happy here.
Of course not. No, I mean, you pointed it out also, Benjamin. She works really hard on her blitz game and she's going to be losing a lot of blitz rating in this match because going in, it was a similar ratings, but she's getting crushed every game and that's gonna really hit her rating.
Yeah, it's a 10-point lead for Ju Wenjun. I definitely did not expect this. All right, so let's see what white's going to do here. e5 on the board. I think you take on e5 and then take on d5. And I remember there was a game, I think, between Hikaru and Magnus where there's a funny line. Like, let's say you take, black takes, you take here. And if you recapture, like, no, wait. Or maybe there was another. No, I think you don't take on e5. You take on d5 right away. And if black's not careful, you just end up down a piece. Wait, let me see if I can... I mean, we're in a bullet game. But anyway, a3 on the board. Now black should be doing pretty fine. Maybe bishop f5.
Nice move there. Bishop f5, gaining a tempo on the queen.
Let me go ahead and show that line.
Yeah.
So here, there was that game between Magnus and Hikaru where like pawn takes d5 happened. I think Magnus took here. Then he took on d5. But after knight takes d5, you're just down a piece. Because if you take on d2, Hikaru, white recaptured and he was just up a piece. Or I don't know what happened. Maybe he took the queen here. White took here. And that was just it.
You have queen f3, but it's not enough. Yeah, I remember that game now. Thanks for reminding us how even the greatest players in the world can somehow miss these little tactics with the recaptures, both defending and recapturing. A bit of switchback ideas, like I how to call them. So bishop e4, queen d4 could threaten checkmate, but I guess there would have been an f6 there. Now you better trade queens.
But now you can take, I think. Now you can take, as now this diagonal is blocked. So you have the time to take and then save your bishop. Rook d8 instead. Now white should be up a pretty clean pawn.
Good. Okay. Could this be the game that Anna wins? We've been waiting for it. King e3. Yeah, you're right.
It's not easy to win this, though. I mean, black's still very solid. It's only a pawn.
And bishops of opposite again. We've seen this in many games here. Bishops of opposite color make it harder to win. Also, some really nice moves played by Ju Wenjun in the last couple moves, making it a little more solid for her.
I really like this move h5. It seems like a move that, you play this move, you just pass, but it actually prevents white from gaining more space. And yeah, now with the rooks off the board, this should be a pretty elementary draw. What she's just going to do is place all of her pawns on the light squares to make sure that white can never attack them, and she can easily defend the pawns with her own bishop.
And unfortunately for Anna, she's not ahead on time, so it's going to be hard to make anything out of this position. I think she will acquiesce to that draw.
Yep, this is going to be an easy draw here. Bishop g2 maybe, or that's fine as well.
And you see, this is how it happens. Bishops of opposite color, hard for either player to make any progress because we can't progress on the square that our opponents own. And this is why so many of these games are drawn unless you have a pass pawn. And so a draw indeed, 12-2, 10-point lead maintained by Ju Wenjun. And we've got her back to d4.
Yeah, and Anna back to the slot defense, e3. Okay, so let's see what Anna's going to do here. She goes e6, going for a semi-Slav setup with an early bishop d6. Normally you start with knight bd7.
Yeah, in the beginning we were thinking that maybe all the games would be like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I remember our discussion at the beginning. We thought like, oh, there might be some discussions in the Slav defense, but both of them actually switched it up a lot throughout this match.
That's right. There was a lot of c4s, and there was also a lot of there ended up being some e4s as well. But this is looking like Anna's comfort zone. So maybe this could be her first victory. She is up 10 seconds on the clock and seems very comfortable with the position. I mean, that's generally how you get a time edge in blitz, right? Or bullet chess, that you got all the moves prepared.
Right. Yeah, you know the opening, you know the plans and ideas, so that's how you can move very quickly. All right, so we see a trade here, bishop e6, offering another trade to neutralize the pressure along the f file a little bit.
Yeah, and try to work on some of those weak pawns like c4.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's see, knight f3 on the board here by Ju Wenjun, giving black the opportunity to take and give her double pawns. Knight g6. Feels like black should be doing pretty fine here.
And a huge time advantage in Benjamin, like 30 seconds or something like that. Big deal. Big opportunity here. Mm-hmm. Not that Anna will ever go down quietly. I mean, that Ju Wenjun will ever go down quietly, but still, this is a big opportunity. That's a huge edge in blitz. 30 seconds. In bullet, rather.
But queen f2, great move by Ju Wenjun, hitting f7 and a7, and she took that pawn, and now black should be doing fine, but you're down a pawn, and you have to prove that, oh wait, there goes another pawn. Take, and then check and take on b7.
And she didn't go for it, and here we have some rook 8 c3, getting a little, rook takes e3, going for the two rooks versus queen. What do you think, Benjamin? No, she didn't do it.
I think that was interesting, but I think also just keeping the pieces on the board is definitely worth a try as well. Queen e5, maybe we'll see a repetition. She takes on a2, but take d6.
Oh,
looks scary for black.
Risky game. She is trying to use her edge on the clock, but is it overstepping?
Oh, you check on c7 and then d7, because then there's never a check on the long diagonal.
There's no draw with queen f4 check. Brutal. Oh, what a game by Ju Wenjun, You think she has such a big time advantage that she might win, but didn't work out.
Yeah, great defense by Ju Wenjun, and then she found a nice idea with queen d8, queen c7 at the end, and she wins another game. So yeah, she can definitely hold her on in the time scrambles.
Well, she also saw it instantly. She was just like, oh yeah, queen c7 check, d7, threatening, defending against the checks and winning. I mean, she is just an unbelievable technical player, which is so much what blitz is about, right? Technique.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Yep. All right, so by the way, we have 2 minutes on the clock, so this could very easily be the last game in the match. Anna going here for some very aggressive play with h4 and h5. f5 by Ju Wenjun, gaining some space on the king side to make it more difficult for white to attack on that side of the board.
And h6, kind of weakening that situation. Queen e2, got to play rook e8.
I think this pawn on e6 is going to be gone. You don't really want to go... I mean, you can go knight d8, even though it's a bit passive.
She does play knight d8. Big opportunity here for Anna to try to win her first game of the match.
Wait, but queen g7 hitting the knight?
Why
you can move it.
So what about like rook g3 or something now? Okay, well, she didn't do it. She played bishop g5 instead, and now knight e5 in between move.
All right, nice move, hitting the queen. This looks scary for black. Like, it's very easy to suddenly get checkmated if you, like, I don't know. Let's say you move the knight and then knight f7 comes. 25 seconds for Ju Wenjun. This is definitely a nice opportunity for Anna to at least end the match with a nice win.
I agree. And I actually think I saw a little bit of a head shake there by Ju Wenjun, showing that she's not happy with her position. She better be happy with her match score. that would be pretty insulting if she wasn't. No, I'm sure she's thrilled. But hey, she's a chess player. Every game, it's a new game, right? Got to win them all.
Every game you want to win. Okay, she's doubling up the rooks on the g file, but I think it's going to be very difficult to ever do anything there. Rook f5, rook e5 is a nice plan here. I mean, this is a great position for Anna, also way up on time. It would be so nice for her to end this match with a win.
Oh yeah,
And H6.
I think a lot of the fans would like that too.
Yeah, no, she definitely deserves a few. Actually, would it be her only win in the match?
Yes,
I think
exactly,
so.
exactly. And we feel sympathy because she's played some absolutely inspired chess, but has never been able to pull a win together. Can she do it? It looks like this is going to be it. Maybe. I don't want to jinx her, Benjamin, but look at this. Up 30 seconds, up a beautiful pass pawn, up 2 other random pawns.
Yeah, this has to be a win. Like king f5 to e6, it's just the position really plays itself. Your rook b7, trying to pick up another pawn, a king f5. I think you just don't hold this. Like you just get checkmated here with black. That's just what happens here.
Oh yeah,
g5.
that's right. Trying to get a little filler.
Anna's gonna win it.
Yeah.
Take another pawn. Just go for it. Just don't think. Just keep moving because that's what she's been doing this game, and it's worked out beautifully.
Oh, and you can't even play rook a6 check with just d6. Running checkmate in one move, and she won! Wow!
Great game by Anna. And yeah, I think everyone's just really happy for her that she ends this match with at least 1 win.
Well done by Anna Sargsyan. But of course, the big victory is for Ju Wenjun, who has won this match 13-3, 10-point lead. Unbelievable play by Ju Wenjun. I mean, just a crushing and beautiful performance, showing us why she's world champion.
Yeah, great stuff by Ju Wenjun. She played some great chess, never gave up in tough positions, and yeah, she saved so many points from those losing games. So, very deserving winner of this match.
Yeah, I mentioned, technique is everything in Blitz. A lot of people think it's about tactics, but it's actually technique to me because in Blitz, you got to actually win the game in 3 minutes, and that is so hard to do.
Yeah, but she didn't really have any trouble in her own games that she was winning in, but she always made it so difficult for Anna. That's why she was able to save so many points.
Well, let's take a look at the bracket as we do have our first result in the Women's Speed Chess Championships. And we're going to take a look at the bracket presented by Julius Baer, the official wealth management partner of the CCT and the Women's Speed Chess Championships. And here we are going to see Ju Wenjun advance to play the winner of Alice Lee and Sarah Kadim, which is going to take place next week.
Yeah, that's going to be an exciting matchup as well. I think, Alice Lee, the young talent from the US against Sarah Kadim. Sarah, she has a higher rating in over-the-board classical chess, but I think Alice Lee might be a little bit more experienced in online chess. I remember she was my teammate on the St. Louis Archbishops, and she scored so many points for us. It was amazing. I think she also drew Hikaru from a better position, so that's going to be a close one as well.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a great match. Yeah, I love both of those players, so really will be keen to watch that one.
For sure. So, yeah, I think what we are going to be doing, Jen, I think we are going on a very short break, and then I think we'll come back with an interview with Ju Wenjun.
That's right. Stay tuned for the interviews, and if you got any questions, put them in the chat. See you in a couple minutes.
How often do you Google yourself?
Not very often, I believe.
That's a lie.
Oh God. I thought it's not often. Like, often is relative, right? What does it mean to Google yourself often? I don't Google myself like maybe 50 times a day. Maybe it's just, I don't know, once or twice a week.
Once or twice a week?
To be fair, I think I don't Google myself as like, oh, Anna. It's mostly related to my boyfriend as well, because he's a YouTuber and we work together.
I strongly suggest you stop banning me when my account didn't even have an entire game played yet.
This seems very unfair. I'm better than 100% of your GM level players and you stupid banned me. WTF is your SU? I hope Bobby knows it and is auto-resigning in his grave. You.
Wow. Dan, you want to run with that one?
I thought maybe you would take it. I mean, he apparently, if we're banning him before he's even completed a game, I don't know. I mean, kudos to you and the crew, Casa. I don't even know what else to say to that.
A lot of times people that, have played games, they might finish them and they react and they're so hot, and step away from your laptop or your phone, decompress a little bit, give yourself the opportunity to turn that temperature down before you respond. Like that's the first bit of advice, because if you're dealing with support like that, you're gonna have a hard time dealing with people in your own life. So take a moment, think before you make that move, and then maybe then the response will be a little bit different. Rest in peace, Bobby Fischer, one of the goats of the game. At the end of the day, I don't think he's auto-resigning in his grave. I don't believe that. I think he might have a lot of perspectives on the way the game has gone. I don't think he's thinking like that.
Why should I open a new account if you guys keep on closing them?
Well, look, I mean, at the end of the day, we're closing your account for a reason, and so the behavior has to change for you to, keep an account open for an extended period of time. So clearly the behavior isn't changing, and that's, why you're in the situation you're in. There's such a great opportunity to enjoy your time on the site. We have so many things you could do. You could play, you can talk to people, you can learn, you can watch top games. Your experience is going to be soured if you're, making these decisions. So
do better. Do better. I like that. Maybe we'll get lucky and that user will watch this video and just maybe that'll be all they needed to hear. Oh, do better. Okay.
This summer, Paris, France is set to hold the greatest sports spectacle the world has ever seen. And no, I'm not talking about the Olympics, though that's pretty cool too, I guess. It's the 2024 Speed Chess Championship. In the 2024 Speed Chess Championship, 16 of the world's greatest speed chess superstars take up the gauntlet. Only 4 will make it to Paris. For the first time ever, few are invited into the battleground. Book your ticket now for arena-side viewing, live commentary, immersive pop-up booths, and more. Level up your ticket to gold, platinum, or diamond to unlock special event gift boxes, a VIP lounge, and player meet and greets. Hurry before the clock runs out.
Hello, everyone. We are live with the winner of the first match in the Women's Speed Chess Champs. It is a 4-time Women's World Champion, reigning Women's World Champion, Ju Wenjun. What a fantastic match. How do you feel?
Oh, I feel it was a very exciting match, and I feel, kind of happy, and also a lot of game played. So it's so far good.
And you won by a massive margin. You got 13 points to 3. Some really interesting games there, but it kept going your way. Could you have dreamed of such a big score?
Oh, actually, I didn't expect to have so much points in this match, but it's just one game. I play after one game. Every game is new, and I try to play well. So she made some mistake, but it's speed chess. I mean, we all made some mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing we noticed is that it felt like your fighting abilities were great, that even if you had a tough position, you just kept going after it and often coming up with wins. Can you give us any tips on how to keep fighting even when we're in bad positions?
Well, I guess, because everything went very fast, so I guess just try to defend and try to have some counter play and not just defense in hopeless position.
Yeah, absolutely. We really were learning a lot from you today. Now you are going to be playing in the next round the winner of the match between Alice Lee and Sargsyan. Any thoughts on how that match might go and who you might face?
Well, I mean, I didn't play them. I mean, very in recently. I mean, only for some online games. So I think they are both good at blitz and good at speed chess. So I guess I wouldn't be surprised if any one of them succeed. And well, I guess both of them are very interesting to play.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to that match, whoever wins. We've got a couple of excellent questions from our Twitch chat. One of them is from Master Chief Zod, who asks, what was your favorite Olympic sport to watch from the recent Olympics?
Well, it's table tennis because China is very strong. And also, I mean, it's very interesting to watch. And also, I personally played table tennis when I have some free time.
Awesome answer. And I can see how sincere, look at that smile. Great question, Master Chief. And Kilo Nola asks if you have any pre-game rituals. So anything you do before the game to get yourself psyched up.
Well, I guess just be ready and well, sometimes I listen some music before the game, but I mean it's not like a must thing to do before the game.
Which song would be a typical one that you would listen to before a game?
Some like in general they are like classic and maybe about joyful. Anyway, it's not like a love story song, something, just a normal classic, instrument.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Your rituals, whatever you're doing before the games, are certainly working out today, as not only did you win, but you win in outstanding fashion, 13-3, beautiful chess and demeanor. And I know it's late in China, so we'll let you go. But thanks again, and big congratulations on winning this match.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
That was Ju Wenjun, our first winner here in the Julius Baer 2024 Speed Chess Championships, and our reigning Women's World Champion and our 4-time Women's World Champion. So many accolades from this great player who I personally love to watch. And well, we'll be watching her again soon, Benjamin, as Benjamin Baca returns. And we're going to be seeing her play against either Alice Lee or Sarah Karim. And that is going to be one sizzling match.
Yeah, like I said, it's always great to see Ju Wenjun in action. She's a great player. She's a 4-time Women's World Champion. And she really showed that today. I mean, her experience really showed. She played some great defense, a very impressive performance. And we can only look forward, Jennifer, to all of the action tomorrow. What do we have tomorrow, Jen?
Well, we got 2 matches going on. We've got Katerina Lagno playing against Nerman. And then in the morning, actually the early morning slot, we got Tan Xiangqi versus Polina Shuvalova. So 2 excellent matches coming up for us. And I think especially that first match rates to be very, very tight, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tan Xiangqi, she also has a great accolades in her over-the-board career, but she can definitely hold herself as well in the online chess. Polina Shuvalova, I think she also plays quite a bit online. She's often playing in Title Tuesdays, so that's gonna definitely be a close one.
And then we've got the youngster, 17-year-old Nerman, who qualified in one of the play-ins, who's going to be playing against Katerina Lagno. So that's going to be quite interesting as well, because anything can happen at the Women's Speed Chess Championships. And we've got a lot more coming for you, as we're only down 1 round, Benjamin. This is going to be quite a thrilling couple of weeks here as we crown a champion.
Mm-hmm, for sure, yeah. It's only been 1 match, but we can only look forward to all of the other action to come. So it's been great fun commenting on this match, and I'm only looking forward to the action in the other matches.
Thank you so much. It's been a delight. Thank you to everybody at Chess.com, to Bic and the whole team, and of course to the sponsor, Julius Baer, as the Women's Speed Chess Championships main event now has a front runner as we have Ju Wenjun as the first winner. And it will continue on tomorrow with this match, Tan Zhangqi versus Apolina Shuvalova. So don't miss it. Stay with us. Tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern, you will see that exciting match. And it's going to be hosted by you and Judah Polgar.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Judah Polgar, absolute legend of the game. So I'm honored to be commentating with her tomorrow. So yeah, as Jennifer said, make sure to tune in tomorrow as the Women's Speed Chess Championship will continue.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a blast. Appreciate it.